Transition done, and we're live.
Hi, everybody.
Hey. How's everybody doing
Finishing
tonight?
Julie, by the way, you sound a little low.
Hold on. How's that?
That's better.
Yeah, I had to move the mic closer. I have to push it away from me because the cat.
That'll do it.
Yeah. So how's everybody doing tonight? Are we having a good weekend? They said we're supposed to have a cool down. I don't see it coming.
We have our air conditioning fixed at work. We've been happy.
I bet.
That was supposed to be, but okay.
But yeah, we had like these huge units that were like really noisy. We can hear our customers now, and it got cold today, which we were not expecting, and we actually had some customers complain.
Then walk
Nobody's ever
outside.
happy.
All I gotta say about that is if it's too cold in the building, walk outside. Come back in. Believe me, you're not gonna think it's too cold in the building. So
Luna, we're not talking about my doctor.
it's hot. Actually, it's been kind of comfortable in my house today, but I haven't really left my office but a handful of times. So I can't bitch too much. Anywho, so we did have one submission for our September graphic.
And that was due yesterday. So it's all set and ready to launch tonight at midnight, and along with the September forum thread. So make sure that if you want the resources or quick access, you follow it. Also found out in the last 2 weeks or so that if you follow it, it will show up in your sidebar. And then you can always unfollow it at the end of the month and, wait for next year. Keep your side channels cleared up.
Right. Little bit of housekeeping before we get started tonight. Everybody's doing an amazing job following directions, getting everything into the inbox on time and with the proper stuff. Also, just a little quick side note that just because you request a particular person to read it does not mean that they will either A, be available, or B, have the lung capacity in which to do it. So if you don't get that, please don't be upset. But we're doing our best with what we got. Also, what me and Izzy had discussed earlier, we will be opening for all months, I think in May, for anything upcoming. Yay, hype train. For any graphics for upcoming, everything like that, because we have used several since we started. And a little refresher never hurt anybody. So if you have an artistic talent or somebody who does and they want to design what is going to be out there for possibly the next 2 years, send them our way.
Yep.
Izzy, you got anything over there? Or?
Well, to add on to that, essentially the themes won't change. August is going to be Embers and Echoes, for the foreseeable future. The three themes that will never change because they have been so successful for us and for you is November's Harvest the Words, October's Plotoween, and January's Fresh Ink. The rest of them may at some point change be adjusted, a different theme to work into your works in progress, whether they're for the prompt or not. Like it's just adding these extra resources to help you focus and additional exercises to get you to where you have a finished manuscript. And okay, now the hunt is on for developmental editor, and get your ass published. All right. So, don't necessarily mean that you have to do those. Like, I mean, there's been times where I've gone back and I'm like, you know what? I want to do this exercise from May in this week's prompt, but it's August. So, like, there are exercises for all around the year. It's just kind of trying to monthly challenge you that little bit extra because we can always get better. All of us can always get better with grammar, sentence structure, developmental things, all that fun jazz. So we want to also open up the fact that we like the fact that our graphics are different feeling, right? The image itself is different and it's got different styles each month to appeal to a wider audience. So if you've got a burr up your butt and you're like, I think I've got an idea for this particular one, send it in.
Fresh Ink was super fun. It was really nice seeing everybody's submissions and like seeing people just coming out of the woodwork with new stuff. Makes me motivated to maybe get in on it next time.
All right, that's all
especially since Fresh Ink is the anonymous month.
Mm-hmm. That way, if you've got an idea that's been, you got an idea that's been rummaging around, but you're not quite sure what you want to do with it, throw it in Fresh Ink
I am
to
just
get
a
live
hobbyist,
reactions.
Don't at me.
Yeah.
Okay, so I think that's all we've got for tonight so far. Other than if you know somebody who wants to appear on Friday night, please send them over to us. Otherwise, let's get the wheel up and see who our first submission / victim is. Please don't let it be me. Please don't let it be me. Like, Izzy's gonna yell at me, but please don't let it be me. I was last week. I don't want to be first again this week.
Gasha!
No, I'm kidding.
Trisha! It's like I leaned in, like.
All right.
Hold on. My name is in here.
Yes, it is. This is another scene from the Dire Wolf Shifter book. Anyone but Styx can read it. I don't want to torture him again.
Oh my.
Trisha. If you can't choose, you can have both. No, not me quoting Stray Kids as per usual. The officers
this and that.
The officers had me repeat everything that happened to that night again. Then they said they would call if they had any information about what had happened, and they left. I went back up to my apartment, irritated. I went back to bed and tried to sleep, but it eluded me. By this time, the sun came up. I decided I needed to get my car checked up before I went to work. I looked up the closest mechanic that would not charge me an arm and a leg to check for any other GPS-like items. I found one that was not too far that was ran by a guy called Sharky. I took my car over, and the shop did not seem too busy today. A guy in coveralls with Sharky stitched over the pocket. "Hello, ma'am. How can I help you?" he asked, wiping his hands on a shop rag. "I had a couple of guys trying to track my car. They ran off before they could attach anything," I said. "I am concerned that there might be something already attached to my car." "I can take a look and see if anything is. You can sit in the office area while I work," he said, pointing towards a door marked office. I nodded. I handed him my car key before I went to sit inside. There was a big window where you could see what was happening in the closest bay, which was where my car ended up being. I watched as he looked at every inch of my car. When he got to the underside of my trunk, he must have found something because he grabbed a tool to remove it, then really looked at it before he brought it to me. He opened the door between the work bay and the office. "Ma'am, I think we need to call the police." "Why? What did you find?" I asked, worried. He held out a little box sitting in a shop rag. "I think someone was already tracking you." Why the fuck can't they just leave me alone? I was so mad I misdialed Chief Petty's number 3 times. I finally got his number dialed correctly. The phone rang a few times before I heard him say, "Chief Petty, what can I do to help you?" "Hello, Chief Petty. It's Allura Brown." "Is everything okay?" he asked. "Not really. I took my car to get checked out, and he found something," I said. "Where are you?" I gave him the address of the mechanic shop I was at. "Please send someone." "I'll be there in 5 minutes," he said, and hung up. I looked at Sharky. "Chief Petty is on his way." He nodded and set the little box and shop rag on the corner of his desk. "I'm going to go and recheck your car and make sure I didn't miss anything." I nodded and sat in one of the folding chairs and stared at the box on his desk. Who the hell wants to track me? And for how long? I didn't realize how long I was just staring at it until I felt a hand on my shoulder. I looked up at who was standing by me. It was Chief Petty. "You all right?" he asked. I shook my head. Someone must have been following me for a while. Sharky found that. I pointed to the little box. Chief Petty went over and picked it up after he wrapped the shop rag around it. When he opened the rag, he looked closely at it. He turned it over a few times in the rag. I was not sure what he was looking for. Sharky chose that time to come in with yet another box wrapped in a shop rag. "What the fuck?" I said, standing up. "How many fucking people are tracking me?" "I don't know, ma'am, but this one looks older than the other one I found," he answered. "Don't worry, Ms. Brown. We will figure this out," Chief Petty said. I sat back down. I put my face in my hands. I don't want to deal with this shit anymore. Dun, dun, dun.
We need to get. See, you have a Stream Deck now. We just need to get a soundboard button on there for Belt from Meet the Crudes.
Dur, dur, dur.
There you go.
I can almost do it.
Well,
that
we
was
did
actually one
have
of my very first things when we.
Yeah, she did. It tickled my ear the wrong way, but that's okay. I originally did have a setup with an account for a soundboard like site, but because of all the background settings and me mucking around not knowing what the fuck I was doing, it didn't work all that well. So we'll have to set up sometime 6 and figure that out because I've gotten so used to this motherfucking Stream Deck. I shit you not. When I'm at work and I need to do a screen clipping of something,
You look for it.
my hand comes up as though I'm going to push the button, and then I remember there's not a Stream Deck attached to my work computer.
Welcome
this is
in.
not okay.
Night.
Person, hello, welcome in.
Hello.
It's me. Sorry if that cough came, that clearing my throat came across the mic there.
It did. Oh, well. Man, I feel so bad for Allura Brown. Like, good God. How many fucked up little inconveniences that just stack up. Good God, she's about got the Izzy treatment. Car breaks down. Cat dies. Cuts off part of the finger. Oh, just...
If you take your truck in and they pull out 2 different tracking devices, you need to let me know.
It'll
Well,
be
first
somebody
you have to
else's
be able to get
problem
the
as
truck
soon as
to the-
Nah. The truck in question, it'll be somebody else's problem the instant that sucker is sold.
It's like, look, I've already told Izzy, I'll come up there and get it. I'll drive it around, make somebody really confused, and then take it to Tennessee. Make everybody think that's where she went, and she's still sitting in her little room, drinking her Dr. Pepper or her coffee. It's like, it's great.
All right, next up, spinny spin.
I'm curious what the meaning behind your name is. I mean, I looked it up. I'm just curious what the
Nasuzua?
meaning. According to Google
That
Translate, it's Japanese and translates directly to "no bell rings" with an ellipses.
I mean,
Cash. Is what water? Oh, gotcha. That.
I did have a request that Izzy read this one because it's got voice requirements that I know she can do from previous things she's done.
Okay.
I'm gonna go sit in my corner tonight.
Y'all, I'm getting trolled.
Just wait till you read it.
I'm getting trolled. But at the same time, I have to remember these aren't the same characters from before. Unless
Nope.
they are.
Okay.
Okay.
Definitely not. Just wait to open the document.
I know. I'm looking at it. Made you look, bitch. See, still getting trolled. Y'all will get it when or you won't. I don't care. Please don't. Anyway, the pages of history. Gemma ran up the broad marble stairs leading to the entrance to the centuries-old library. She pushed on the massive wooden doors. Her small frame struggled, but she succeeded, entering the building and continuing on her quest. Find information for her history essay. She walked to the hall, holding the history section, and scanned the multitude of shelves, hoping to find something to inspire her to get the project finished. Fingertips ran across the spines of leather-bound tomes. None of the titles sparked any ideas she thought she could write on, with one book to help her paper. Each book she touched felt pebbled. Some were cracked, the embossed words smoothed away with age or coated in a fine layer of dust. At the end of the shelf, she saw a book that almost seemed to glow. Her attention focused entirely on it, some mysterious force drawing her in. Her pointer came to rest on the book as she read the title, The Book of Histories. Gemma cocked her head to the side, contemplating the title as her remaining fingers wrapped around it, pulling it from where it rested. eyebrows jumped as she opened it, a medallion on a leather strap landing in her palm. Turning it over, she examined the pendant, an item featuring a snake encircling the globe, biting its tail. Inscribed on the outer ring was a series of symbols she didn't recognize. Her thumb ran over them, making her more curious about what was written on the, what seemed to her, bronzy colored coin. She glanced into the inner cover. More of the symbols were written across the aged yellow page. She absently walked to one of the long tables located within the hall, sitting as she paged through the book. From what she could tell, the entire thing was written in the mysterious symbols. The evolutionary history of frogs and other amphibians. Very heavy reading for someone so young, don't you think? A librarian pushed a cart past the table. Gemma, looking between her and the book, confused. The only thing she could see was the symbols. She looked up from the book to say something to the librarian, who seemed to have disappeared into thin air, leaving her the only person in the room, an eerie silence enveloping her. She returned to her seat, her fingers grasped for the medallion, startled when something pricked the skin of a finger. Wide-eyed, she watched as the tiny drop of her blood found its way to the eye of the serpent and transformed into a ruby set into the piece. Surely she was seeing things. A wave of dizziness washed over her, causing her to close her eyes and open them again in an attempt to shake it off. Behind her, the chair shook on its own, the rattling against the inlaid stonework floor echoing through the cavernous hall. She looked down, the book still lying open. Instead of the symbols, she saw a passage written in English. Whoever reads this will have an exciting adventure, becoming a witness to history. The medallion shall ward over you, protecting you on your journey from any danger, friend or foe, you might encounter. Do all you can to not lose the medallion. If you do, you'll be left in that time never to return. Gemma stopped reading, looking around her to see she was still alone. Her attention went back to the book. Read this book carefully and heed every word written within. It could save your life. But the most important thing to remember, do not change the timeline with knowledge from your own time. This will create a paradox which will tear the fabric of the universe apart. Whoa. The words slipped from her mouth as she slammed the book shut. Her eyes roamed the hall, looking for anyone who might be watching. She was satisfied she was alone. She placed the book under her arm, headed for the librarian's desk to check the book out. It wasn't what she had come for, but the book was coming with her. Walking along the wall of the corridor leading to the main librarian's desk, Gemma approached, a hesitation in her final step before the desk. Slowly, she placed the book in front of the librarian to check out. Next to the book, she placed the library card she had pulled from the pocket of her coveralls, bringing her hands into her body while she patiently waited for the man at the desk to acknowledge her. What felt like an eternity passed before the man lifted his eyes from what he was working on and smiled. "How can I help you today, miss?" He smiled. "I would like to check out this book, please." Gemma forced a smile in an attempt to cover her nervous feeling that she was doing something wrong. The librarian looked over the rim of his glasses at her, then the book. "I'm sorry, but I can't check this out to you." He was cut off by her taking a deep breath. "No, I didn't mean you can't have it. Far from that. This is a journal. We don't have those in our collection." He picked the book up, opening it to the inner cover, pointing to a spot in the center of the page. "Property of Gemma Kern." He looked like he was reading out some things from the page that had looked empty to her. "That's me. I must have confused the book with my journal. They look pretty similar to each other," she replied as she took the book back from him. "It happens. Why don't you find the book you want and we'll get you set up to take it home?" he suggested, turning away to resume the work he was doing when she came to speak with him. "Okay, thank you, sir." Gemma walked away, confused about what happened. As she made her way down the hall toward the doors, she cracked the book open, looking at the inside cover where he motioned to where her name was written. It was blank, making her more confused than before. She shrugged, walking out the front doors of the building, book in hand. No one tried to stop her. Pausing when she reached the base of the stairs, looking back and forth and over her head. The entire situation was off, but she still went home, unsure of what would happen next. The book was splayed out on the floor of her room as Gemma flipped through the pages. Each page was adorned with realistic sketches depicting various figures and peoples from history: Cleopatra, Caesar, an Aztec temple, the Great Wall in China. So many things not there when she first found the book. She turned the medallion over in her hand, and what had to have been the millionth time reading and rereading the inscriptions on the front and back of the coin-sized pendant. Past, present, future, all in history they belong. Gemma read the inscription aloud, unsure of the meaning of the words. I don't get it. She shrugged, putting the necklace over her head while she settled into her beanbag chair, and continued to flip through the pages and read what they wanted to tell her. Her fingers worried the medallion while she read, fighting sleepiness. Her head would lean to the side and she'd jump, waking up. Eventually, Gemma lost her battle with sleep. The next thing she felt was her entire body being jarred roughly. As her eyes opened, she tried to look around, only realizing she was in the dark and her arms and legs pinned. She struggled, pushing against whatever bound her. Her eyes closed, her face contorting as she squeezed them shut. This is a bad dream. It's just a bad dream. Repeating the mantra to herself, attempting to force herself to wake up. The movement stopped and she heard muffled voices. Unsure what was happening, she decided screaming in an attempt to get help for herself. What felt like a kick hit her abdomen and knocked the wind from her, making the space she was in feel even smaller than when she woke up. Help! Someone, please help! She yelled as best she could, barely able to breathe with how tight the space was. More bumps in her side, feeling like it hit a wall. Gemma grunted, her entire side lighting up in pain. Wherever she trapped rolled, making her dizzy as light blinded her. Shaky and dazed, she lifted her arm to cover her eyes. My esteemed Pharaoh, Queen of the Nile and all the lands surrounding, I present to you a gift in return for your gracious hospitality. A tall, gaunt-looking man dressed in a knee-length white tunic under bronze armor. A helmet was tucked under his arm as he stared slightly upwards to something behind her. With him was a group of men, all dressed in armor similar to his, their knees bent and on the floor with their heads dipped down in a bow. I am honored, great Caesar. I extend my hospitality and thanks for your men's help in defeating my brother and returning me to power. A woman's voice came from behind Gemma, who rolled to see who spoke. On the dais, higher than anyone else in the room, stood a deeply tan woman with a long nose and a tiara over her curly hair. Dressed in white flowing fabrics, which moved like water over her skin when she moved, the magnetic presence she exuded added to her beauty. Gemma's mind searched for who the woman was, her train of thought interrupted by the man speaking again. It was my pleasure. Having someone of your intelligence and beauty on the throne is the best for not only your fair kingdom, but for everyone in the known world. Flattery will get you everywhere, Senator. Her eyelids partially concealed her eyes as she stared at Caesar. Please, explain your gift to me. She stepped from the dais, stopping when she stood directly in front of him. He smiled and motioned to Gemma. I heard you like to collect servants from different places. She is the captured daughter of a chieftain of the Picti of Caledonia, north of Britannia. I felt the exotic nature of the fiery hair and her tribe's markings would complement your cadre of handmaidens. She has been very compliant since she was taken. He gave the queen a lopsided grin and she returned a warm smile in return. Gemma thought about what he said, trying to work through piece by piece until she realized who he was referring to. She had been kidnapped, or rather, the girl whose place she was in, and held captive by the Romans, and was now being given to someone else, just as though she were property. It was unsettling, but her fear of the situation kept her silent. How wonderful! I shall make sure she is given the same care as the other girls. Cleopatra placed her hand gently under Gemma's chin, moving her head from side to side, inspecting her. She will add something I think I am missing with my personal servants. Thank you. Cleopatra returned to her throne and looked over the gathered, her eyes resting on Gemma. I want her out of my throne room and taken to be given a bath and dressed more appropriately. She ordered one of the women who were standing just out of sight behind the stone steps where the queen stood. Give her blue accessories to go with her tattoos. I think they will complement each other. Yes, my queen. The handmaiden lowered her head and crossed to where Gemma sat, motioning for the girl to go with her. Standing, she followed the woman, whose hand rested gently on her shoulder. As she walked past the guard, she noticed a boy about the same age as her, his eyes following her until he disappeared behind the stonework wall.
Yes.
She's still scrolling and refreshing the page, expecting there to be more.
Done, by the way. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm with Izzy. I'm looking over here for the rest of the fucking story.
I'm not.
I mean, I can send you my original project, but remember, I wrote it in middle school.
I have thoughts. I have a lot of thoughts.
I would hope so.
I'm wondering if this is going to... Shut up.
Can you say
I'm
that again?
wondering
I
if
didn't.
I said, I have thoughts. I have lots of thoughts. And then Six is like, I would hope so. And I'm like, shut up. I'm wondering if this is going to turn out like Spartacus, or if this is going to be something more historically accurate.
Oh, she's a handmaiden. I would doubt that, Cleopatra's going to be like, oh, sweet, new handmaiden. Throw her in the ring.
That's not what I meant by Spartacus.
Oh. Spartacus didn't get time traveled back to, ancient Rome via a book about amphibians.
Doc. Sorry, I'm reading the chat. Doc. That is not how we spell thought. Glad you corrected yourself.
It's funnier the first way.
It
is. It
is.
Everyone in this video call was thinking it. I just said it. You're all welcome. You could just spin the wheel to shut me up, but by all means, continue.
1,000 over 10%? Or is that 10,000 over 10%?
CM Weller, who has a bone to pick with the Hold My Pen Promptcast.
Oh, okay.
Oh,
What is
oh
that?
yeah, that.
The subject line says number fucking 6.
Yeah, that's the title of this. That's the title of this piece because it's also apparently the work in progress number.
Number 6.
You know what's really cool about that, Bitzer, is that normally, and I have to stress, normally, i.e., what normal people do is they have an idea, and while they're currently in a work in progress, they'll just like put a note to the side, not write the first 10 chapters. That's on you.
Are you taking this one or am I sticks?
Oh, I got it. I got it. I got it. You want to know everything? Like everything, everything? All right. Here goes nothing. I would never have believed in the last years of the 25th century that my apartment was being watched keenly and closely by intelligence greater than any I'd known. That as I was involved in my various chores, I was studied almost as narrowly as someone with a microscope might study anything on their science slide. I don't know all the fancy words for stuff. I'm just a grunt in the processing line. I jackhammer the rocks into smaller bits so that the other guys can sweep them into the crusher. After 12 hours rock side, sorry. I shower the grime off, grab a meal at the slop chute, and crawl into my sleep nook for whatever rest I can grab. Between asteroids, we get time to ourselves. Unpaid, of course. Corporate bills us for the food and takes that out of our pay. It's only fair, and to be frank, we're lucky they don't bill us for the air. It's on one of those rare weeks off that I noticed the first lens. I was enjoying the haze after some, uh, self care time when I noticed that one of the little holes above my bunk was a little reflective. It looked like a Securicam, but way smaller than any of the ones that work or in the market space. I didn't know they made them that small. How long had it been there? As I was staring at it, the lens shrank away and the usual black of the little holes clicked into place. That was weird. I poked at the ceiling over my bunk, but I couldn't find anything to hint that it had ever been there. Maybe I was going nuts. It happens sometimes. People spend too long in a facility with no windows and their minds melted. Come to think of it, a lot of them got to ranting about cameras everywhere. I got up and rinsed off in the ablution booth. There was a lens there, too, in the shower head, the part of it that had never had water come out of it. This time, I didn't stare too long. I am used to performance monitoring. Cams on me as I work, cams watching me and the guys as we clocked in or clocked off, cams watching us in the slop chute or in the locker rooms. That was for proper productivity and efficiency. I knew they had cams on us when we were spending our monthly wages on things we wanted or needed. That was for the benefit of market share. Corporate's shareholders need to know what sells and what's getting stale. I didn't know what to think about cams in my private space. What the hell kind of business advantage was there in watching me sleep, shit, shower, or shave? Who benefited from watching me drink my nutritionally fortified coffee every morning? I'm not smart. It's why I'm a blue collar. What I knew was what corporate told me. What I'd learned was the pledge of devotion to the CEO and to be grateful for what we had. Corporate is generous. Corporate is kind. Did you know the Galactic Alliance has a 40-day month? Can you imagine trying to survive on that pay schedule? I had it tough enough with 28, and that's with a full work schedule and no sick days. Yeah, those Alliance people must be really hosed over with propaganda to believe they're better off with their arrangement, while I get housing, water, and food at reasonable prices. The economy must flourish, after all. So yeah, I kept quiet about seeing lenses. I didn't want a psych eval on my bills. Those things can tear through all your savings and put yourself in debt for the rest of your life. Like, work until you drop and sell your organs kind of debt. Nobody wants that. It's just, I keep finding them. They have to have a purpose, but why? I didn't know who to ask or how to ask. I don't know if I'm going nuts, and I don't know what compelled me to do it. I bought a pen, one of the chunky ones the briefers use to write on the whiteboards. It cost me my usual little extras for that month, and I don't know if it's worth it. I've seen the one above my bunk more than once. I pretend to ignore it, so I know someone or something is watching me sleep. I vandalized corporate property and wrote on my pillow. I know I'm going to get fined for that on the annual reissue, but it's the only way I could think of to ask. One word of a question, 3 letters. I took my time writing them in the one place I could find where they could never fit a lens, up in the maintenance area between hulls on the station, where only cables and spiders go. I'm not smart. Reading and writing weren't favored subjects when I was still growing. I learned because everyone had to read the direction signs, but the instant I never had to write anything ever again, I stopped. I practiced in the dust to make sure I got it right, then put the expensive pen to the cloth of my pillow. Nice, big letters, straight lines. I even remembered the punctuation. Why? With a question mark. I must have looked a right fool carrying it back to my quarters, to what should have been my private space. You know that if a body doesn't get some privacy, they also go nuts, right? You have to know it. I'm not smart, but I know you are. You're a techie. You work with all the things that need buttons and dials and stuff, screens and all that. The only screen I ever looked at was the entertainment during holiday time. You were smart enough to find me and a place where we could talk. A place where there's no cams. Not even the secret ones I've found everywhere. So I gotta ask, what the fuck is happening with those? What is up with all of that? And you're so smart. I know you can explain it to me so I can understand. What are you doing? Why are you doing it? And what the hell is so interesting about me that you're personally monitoring every moment? We'll have to find out next time.
Bitzer. Are we doing a more like The Expanse here? Kind of reminds me of that a little.
I'm getting the what's it? Oh God, Jim Carrey movie. You know, come on, The Truman Show.
Yeah, the Truman Show.
Oh,
See,
yeah.
you're getting Truman Show, but I'm getting like Total Recall,
Kind of
the new one.
a little of all of those.
Same universe
Right.
as my good friend Trey Vector, Galactic Inspector.
And Izzy threw her headphones.
Why did Izzy throw her headphones?
I don't know, but she's in the process of playing a song to calm her. So that's probably a good thing.
Izzy, spin the wheel. Unless you have something to say. Looks like you did, Bitzer.
Let's see who's up next.
Julie.
Fuck.
All right.
A duck. Okay, I'm gonna go over here and.
You got it, Kish.
Am I getting
believe
that
you.
one? All right.
No, no, no. It's mine.
I guess you got the next one,
Okay.
Shesh. Unless Julie lays claim to it again, in which we have to feed the feral.
It's precious. My precious. Hey, look, I used to be married to a man nicknamed Gollum, so yeah! The moon was bright. Thousands of stars littered the sky, and Roscoe was on the last 10-mile stretch between her and the ranch. On that winding road, her memory flowed, facing facts she'd rather leave right where they're at. But as she drug her hand across her bruised face, she let the words slip into the night air. I got out this time. What she wouldn't give to be 24 again, and jumping at the possibility that someone was waiting for her when she got back. Maybe a cold beer in his hand and a murderous look in his eyes for the state she was in, but he would understand, in that quiet, stoic way that drove her crazy. But 10 years was a long time to wish, and the sing the should've, could've, or would've's for things that would never happen. To wish that there would be someone there to help her carry the load. She wanted to go back to a time and place where arms held her tight, and for a split second, everything felt right. She only allowed herself these brief moments of memories that should have long faded. She had told herself for years it was only her. He didn't think about her. She was just a footnote, a brief encounter, a secret they both happened to know. And that's the foundation she built the walls around her with. It's also what kept her from getting too close to any type of relationship, though she'd never openly admit it. The truck rumbled up the long gravel drive just after midnight, headlights sweeping across familiar fence lines and weathered outbuildings before settling on the ranch house. Roscoe killed the engine and sat there for a moment, hands still wrapped around the steering wheel, attempting to quiet her mind. She was finally home. The thought should have brought relief. Instead, all she felt was exhaustion. Not the kind a night's sleep fixed, either. The kind that settled into her bones and made itself comfortable without an invitation. A soft creak pulled her attention toward the house. The rocking chair on the front porch swayed gently in the breeze, rocking like someone had just stood up from it instead of the wind. Major huffed from the back seat. Yeah, I see it. The massive dog lifted his head, gave the chair a suspicious look, and then decided it wasn't worth the effort. Roscoe envied him. With a groan, she climbed out of the truck. Every bruise she'd collected over the last 6 weeks immediately reminded her that they existed. Her ribs protested, shoulder ached, and the fading mark on her cheek pulled tight when she grimaced. Come on, boys, let's get this done. Major jumped down with Rocky in his mouth and stretched before trotting toward the trailer like he had an actual job to do. The trailer door rattled open. Nitro greeted her first, shoving his nose toward her shoulder before she could even get the lead rope clipped on. Oh, we're starting with that, are we? Nitro blinked innocently. Liar. Major stationed himself at the bottom of the ramp and sat down, supervising. Roscoe snorted. Good. Glad somebody's managing this operation. The dog's tail thumped once. Nitro came down without issue and stood tied like a good boy. Dynamite, however, remained planted exactly where he stood. Roscoe stared up at the big black gelding. Dynamite stared back. Don't. The horse flicked an ear back. Major sighed. Actually sighed. Roscoe pointed at the dog. Don't encourage him. Dynamite finally stepped forward, taking his sweet time walking down the ramp. That's right. Make me work for it. The gelding bumped her shoulder hard enough to nearly knock her sideways. Roscoe winced as her ribs reminded her they were still angry. Asshole. Dynamite looked entirely pleased with himself. One by one, she led them into the barn, settling each horse into their stalls before moving on to the next. Feed buckets were filled, Water checked, hay tossed, tack put away. The familiar routine settled over her like an old blanket. By the time she finished brushing the dust from Dynamite's coat, the adrenaline that had carried her across 3 states was finally beginning to wear off. The big gelding lowered his head and nudged her shoulder. Roscoe rested a hand against her neck. Yeah, I know. His ears flicked toward her voice. For a moment, she stood there in the quiet barn, listening to the sound of horses chewing hay and shifting in their stalls. Safe. Everybody was safe. The case was over. So why did it feel like something was still sitting heavy in her chest? Dynamite blew warm air across her face. Roscoe laughed softly and scratched between his eyes. Don't start getting wise on me now, big guy. The horse nudged her again. Major, stretched out in the aisle, opened one eye, judging the fact she was still in the barn. You're both lucky I like you. Nitro doesn't give me this much trouble. The dog's tail thumped against the concrete while Nitro let out a squeal. Eventually, Roscoe shut off the barn lights and headed toward the house with Major trailing behind, Rocky still hanging from his mouth. The screen door creaked as she stepped inside. Her gear hit the floor by the entryway one piece at a time. Hat, gun belt, keys. She made it 3 steps toward the kitchen before stopping. The house was and wasn't how she had left it. Roscoe had tore out with just the essentials, thinking she'd only be gone a week, tops, and with the thought in her mind that she'd deal with the mess when she got back. But the house was clean, or at least cleaner than she had left it. Must have been Carlos trying to get on my good side. Roscoe didn't think much more than that as she made her way to the fridge. The light spilled across shelves that absolutely had not looked like that 6 weeks ago. Milk, eggs, lunch meat, fresh vegetables, a 6-pack of beer, a casserole dish wrapped in foil. Roscoe stared. A yellow sticky note sat on top of the casserole. Welcome home. Eat something. Becky. Of course Jasper told her I'd be home soon. A laugh escaped before she could stop it. Nosy woman. Major immediately appeared beside her. Roscoe grabbed a beer. Major stared at the casserole. Don't look at me like that. I am not turning on the oven at 1:30 in the morning. The dog sat, patiently squinting at her like he could make her do it with enough glaring. Roscoe pointed at him with the bottle. You've been hanging around Dynamite too much. A few minutes later, she found herself sitting on the porch steps with a timer clipped to her shirt pocket, beer in hand, Major sprawled beside her. The night air carried the scent of sage and distant rain. For the first time in 6 weeks, there was nowhere she needed to be. Nothing she was chasing. No one was waiting on a phone call or proof of life. But as she stared at the phone sitting next to her, she knew there were a few people waiting on at least a text, letting them know she made it home. So that's exactly what she did. A 1-word text. Home. What she wasn't expecting was a phone call nearly seconds after it was sent. Hey, Trouble. What you doing up? I not Trouble, Dahlia laughed. And you know better than anyone I'm a night owl. So, how bad? Roscoe looked out across the dark pasture. The rocking chair creaked softly behind her. I'm alive. I'm sitting on my porch drinking a beer. Front porch and a beer. She paused. You're thinking again. Every once in a while. A smile tugged at the corner of Roscoe's mouth despite herself. Some things never changed. Dahlia always knew without having to be told. The silence stretched between them, comfortable, familiar. Then Dahlia sighed. There's a rodeo in Three Forks this weekend. Roscoe barked out a laugh. There it is. There what is? The reason for the phone call? Oh, please, Dahlia scoffed. I called because I haven't seen you in forever. Sure. Roscoe scratched her foot on a faded wooden board. I'm serious. Roscoe rolled the bottle between her fingers. Yeah, I know. Another pause. You could always bring dynamite up, blow off some steam, show these guys what real talent looks like. Roscoe glanced toward the barn. A soft thump echoed from inside. Dynamite was probably rearranging things he had no business touching. He doesn't need encouragement. He'd disagree. He usually does. That earned another laugh. Then Dahlia's voice softened. I miss you. Roscoe swallowed hard before taking another drink. The words landed differently than they should have. Maybe because the house was quiet. Maybe because she was tired. Maybe because for the first time in 6 weeks, there was nothing left to distract her. Finally, she sighed. Friday. The excitement in Dahlia's voice was immediate. Friday? Don't make me regret it. I wouldn't dream of it. Roscoe snorted. That's a lie. Maybe a little. For the first time all night, Roscoe genuinely smiled. I'll see you then, brat. With bells and whistles. The line clicked dead. Roscoe lowered the phone and stared out into the darkness. Behind her, the rocking chair swayed gently in the breeze. Inside the barn, a horse bumped a stall wall. Major shifted closer and dropped his head on her boot. Home. For the first time in weeks, she allowed herself to believe she might actually sleep. Next weekend felt like a lifetime away. Friday came and went in a blur of familiar faces, too much food, and Dahlia refusing to leave her alone long enough to brood. By Saturday evening, Roscoe was beginning to suspect she'd been set up, but there was no proof. The realization hit while she sat on an overturned bucket behind her trailer, watching the younger woman disappear for the third time in under an hour with a grin she didn't trust. You're up in 3 riders. Roscoe looked over at her. You know, you're getting real suspicious in your old age. Dahlia snorted. Pretty sure that's your line. Pretty sure you're dodging the accusation. I have no idea what you're talking about. Uh-huh. The grin widened. Roscoe narrowed her eyes. Dahlia immediately found something very interesting on the opposite side of the rodeo grounds. Coward. Roscoe shook her head and stood, grabbing her hat off the trailer fender before heading toward the warm-up area. The evening air carried the familiar mixture of dust, livestock, diesel fuel, and concession stand grease. Arena lights flooded the grounds in white and gold, turning the drifting dust into something almost magical. Kids ran between trailers. Country music crackled through old speakers. Somewhere near the announcer's booth, somebody was already halfway drunk. In other words, it was a rodeo. Dynamite waited where she'd left him, one hind leg cocked lazily beneath him. The big gelding lifted his head when he saw her approach. There you are. He nudged her shoulder. Roscoe scratched his neck and reached for the reins. You knock over anything expensive while I was gone? Dynamite's expression remained innocent, which meant yes. The horse followed her toward the alleyway, ears flicking back and forth as the rider ahead of them finished their run. The crowd applauded. The scoreboard flashed with the run time. Roscoe settled into the saddle and adjusted her gloves. She was relaxed. The kind of relaxation that only came from years of doing the same thing. The announcer called the next rider. Thankfully, it wasn't her. She rolled her shoulders and let Dynamite walk a slow circle near the entrance. A flash of movement caught her eye. Roscoe looked up and forgot what she was doing. Near the far end of the fence line stood a man, one boot hooked against the bottom rail. Arms folded across his chest, watching the arena, watching her. The noise around her seemed to fade. Dark hair, broad shoulders, the sharp profile she could have picked out in a crowd of thousands. Her stomach dropped. No. The thought came fast and hard. No fucking way. Dynamite tossed his head. Roscoe blinked. The man hadn't moved, hadn't waved, and hadn't acknowledged her at all. Just stood there like he belonged. The announcer's voice crackled over the loudspeaker. "We got a real treat for you this evening, hometown legend." The words barely registered. Her fingers tightened around the reins. The man finally turned his head. Even from across the arena, she felt the impact. Blue eyes. God damn it. Dynamite shifted beneath her. Roscoe looked away first. The realization irritated her immediately. When had she started looking away first? The rider ahead of her crossed the timer. The buzzer sounded. Applause erupted. Roscoe drew a breath and turned Dynamite toward the alley. By the time she looked back, the fence line was empty. Nothing. No Russian, no broad shoulders, no blue eyes, just rails and drifting dust. Her pulse hammered against her ribs. Could have been anybody. A trick of the light. A memory wearing somebody else's face. The gate steward waved her forward. "You good, Roscoe?" Roscoe blinked. "Fine." The woman gave her a skeptical look. Roscoe ignored it. The buzzer operator pointed toward the timer. Dynamite gathered beneath her. Ready. Roscoe settled deeper into the saddle and focused on the pattern ahead. First barrel, second barrel, third barrel, home. Simple. The buzzer sounded. Dynamite exploded forward. The world narrowed instantly. The crowd vanished. The noise disappeared. There was only speed, only trust, only the horse beneath her. The first barrel rushed toward them. Dynamite dropped into the turn. Dirt flew. The barrel leaned. Roscoe's heart jumped. Then it settled. Close, too close. Sorry. Whether she was apologizing to the horse or herself, she couldn't have said. They powered toward the second barrel, then the third. By the time they came charging home, the crowd was on its feet. Roscoe leaned forward. Dynamite stretched out beneath her. The timer flashed. The buzzer sounded. Cheers erupted. Only then did she risk a glance toward the fence line. Empty, again. And for some reason, that bothered her more than if he'd actually been standing there. Roscoe shook it off as she made her way back to the trailer. Her time had guaranteed her a spot in the next round, and she needed to get her head on straight. Therefore, she took several long breaths when she got back to the trailer, checking straps and making sure the next run would be clean. Behind her, a deep voice broke through the haze of horse hooves and stadium cheers. Déjà vu. She wasn't surprised he'd shown up. "What's that?" "I thought I told you not to get into anything you couldn't get out of." Without turning, she chuckled. "And I didn't, Vlad. I got out just fine." Dun dun dun. Literally nobody has anything to say in the chat. Like, good God, you guys stopped with Becky with the good hair? You guys were that fucking riveted?
I have two things to say. One, Julie with the sassy brats tonight. I blame Luna. Two is deja vu. I told you, do not get into anything you cannot get yourself out of.
Yeah, that voice.
I didn't stutter.
my Dahlia.
What are we openly cackling about? Is it the Dahlia appearance or the reaction in chat?
They were stunned into silence, and I'm sitting here going, Julie writes my Dahlia pretty damn good.
I agree with that. Dahlia's up to something.
No shit, Sherlock.
Dahlia up to something? She would never.
That's a conversation
And I'm
for the
Shirley's
Discord,
fucking
Luna.
table.
Can we not devolve like we did?
No, we're not. We're not.
last
We're not. We're
week?
not.
Okay.
That's why I said it's not a conversation for right now. We're spitting
Of
again.
course, Hellenic started this whole night with redeeming Boom Chicka Wah Wah. So God only knows. Jeffrey is up next.
Oh, by a hair. By a hair.
By a hair. Otherwise, we were going to be Luna.
Are you taking this one?
Yeah, we got to give Izzy a break. Seems like everybody requested Izzy tonight.
Well, I'm asking between me and you.
Considering the request was for Izzy, it might mean that you might be better just because of female voices. I don't know.
For okay.
Apparently, in chat, we've got a hanky warning. We have a hanky warning.
And Hellenic has just redeemed Name a Future Character for 5,000 prompt points. Thank you so very much. And says, Kesh, I bequeath unto you Wolfram Asmodeus Moriarty.
Message me that on Discord. I'm going to forget that. Okay, let me get this open. Sasha pressed her face against the window. She wore a yellow floral dress with red ribbons that tied up her twin pigtails. She had been so proud of the outfit her mother had picked out. Now it felt like none of it was worth it. Sasha was only supposed to be gone for a few hours for her 9th birthday and come back. Shoulders trembling, all she could do was cry. They weren't supposed to get out of the house. Mother promised she would be safe. Tears flowed like rain, the rain Sasha peered through, wishing she could see her cat, hold her close one last time. Sniffling, Sasha said, "Come back to me, Mia. I need you." The pain confronting death for the first time caused her knees to buckle, and she fell to the floor. She felt a hand on her head, turned around, and threw herself against her mother's side and cried. Muffled against her mother's blouse, she said, "Why did she have to die?" The memory faded away as Sasha looked out the window at the rising sun, holding a cup of coffee, and said, "I can't believe it's been 30 years since I lost Mia." "Hey, sweetie," her husband from behind. "Did you have that dream again?" She leaned back into his embrace when he hugged her and replied, "Yes, it never gets easier. I still miss her." After Sasha lost her cat that day, she refused to celebrate her birthday for years. Even now, whenever it rained on her birthday, she felt an echo of the loss in her heart. He let go, handed her a letter, and said, "When I was moving the trash bins out to the curb, I noticed this in our mailbox. It's addressed to you. It might be from the same person as before." She held the letter up and saw her name written neatly on the front. Other than that, it was blank. This was hand delivered. Along the edge of the back flap were tiny cat paws, unusual but cute. "Do you have a—" Her husband handed over a mail opener and said, "Here you go." With a little effort, Sasha pulled out a single folded piece of paper and placed the envelope down on the counter and opened it up. "Dear Sasha, I wanted to start by wishing you a happy 39th birthday. We share a past that is full of happiness and sadness. There have been so many chances that I could have told you the truth, but what can I say? I'm a scaredy cat, through and through. There are a million reasons I never should have written you this letter or all the other ones in the past. The truth is, I know you still suffer over how we parted so long ago, and I wanted you to know that it's not your fault and that I am living a good life now. I wish I could tell you this in person, but you would never believe me. With all my love." Sasha looked at the bottom in confusion. They signed it with a sticker of a cat paw? Trying to process who this could be, she focused on the facts. They knew when her birthday was and how old she was. She apparently shared a past with them and believes they knew about a pain she still suffered from. It says they have sent me letters in the past, too. Her husband said, "So it is the same person. Maybe this time we can figure out who they are?" Sasha nodded and rushed to their bedroom and found a small shoebox in the closet. When she set it on the bed and opened it up, her two children, Mark and Sally, stepped inside, still rubbing sleep from their eyes. Sally said, "Good morning, Mama. What's that?" Joining in, Mark asked, "Is breakfast ready?" Sasha smiled at her children and said, "Why don't you go help your father fix something up for all of us?" Before she finished, Mark was already running as he yelled, "Father, I want pancakes!" Sally, the more reserved of the two children, sat on the bed, more curious about what was in the shoebox than helping fix breakfast. Cinder, the red tabby cat, joined them on the bed from whenever they had been hiding. A box of oddities from over the years, some before you were born that I could never explain, but thought of when I read a letter your father found this morning, said Sasha, which answered her daughter's earlier question. Leaning over the shoebox, Sally said, "Show me, I want to see." She lifted a folded piece of paper and smoothed it across the bed, careful not to tear it across the aged crease. She received it during her master's degree college ceremony. A friend received a note from a teenager who asked them to hand it to me. They didn't get a good look at the girl, and I always wondered who they were. Sally leaned over and asked, "What does it say, Mama?" "Congratulations. I hope you find joy in life by helping to save others' cherished pets." The teenager signed it with the letter M. Sally reached in and picked up a pet collar and asked, "What about this one?" Sally looked closer and said, "It says Mia." Wiping away a tear, Sasha took the collar and rubbed the engraving with her thumb and said, "It does. I used to have a pet cat named Mia. I found it on the table with all the other wedding gifts the day I married your father. The strangeness reminded me of the previous letter, so I put them both in this shoebox." Looking down at the letter still in the bed, Sally said, They signed it M. Could their name be Mia too? Sasha sat there in silence. The question floated around her head just as it had 11 years ago. To be honest, sweetie, I thought of that too, but convinced myself it wasn't worth finding out. Reaching into the shoebox, Sasha carefully picked up a flower flattened to a piece of paper with a letter on top. A few years after I got married, I gave birth to you. When I came home from the hospital, this was on the doorstep. Sally wiggled in her seat in anticipation and said, "What does it say? Is it from Anne?" It was unsigned, so I don't know. But I just spent 36 hours giving birth to you. We didn't give the letter much thought, said Sasha. But Mama, what does it say? With a sigh, Sasha opened the letter, placing the picture of the kitten from the animal shelter, which Sally picked up and said, "It's so cute." Looking over the letter, Sasha read, "I know you will be a wonderful mother. Both of us know what it means to cherish a furry friend that grows up by their side. Please give it some thought." She placed the letter down on the bed and said, "This was the first time I grew scared that someone was watching me. Having a newborn child made the feeling grow. We thought about moving, but all our family is in this town and ultimately chose not to." Sally scooted over and hugged Sasha. "I'm sorry you felt scared, Mama." Hugging her back, Sasha replied, "It's okay, sweetie. Thank you. As for the suggestion of adopting a cat, there was no way we could handle a pet with a newborn. And after your brother was born, we had another one to focus on." Sally let go and picked up Cinder and hugged the cat. "But you got a cat when I was younger. Where did you find him?" Scratching Cinder behind the ears, Sasha said, "We ended up going to the animal shelter from that other letter. Although the person sending me these letters is indeed weird. They have never tried to harm me or my family despite knowing where I live." Cinder jumped out of Sally's lap and disappeared. Her daughter looked inside the shoebox and said, "I see one more. What is it?" Picking it up, Sasha showed it to Sally. "This is a welcome note a volunteer at the shelter made for us." It listed the foods Cinder liked and a few other suggestions on how best to care for him. "But Mama, why add it to the shoebox?" asked Sally. Placing each object back inside along with the new letter, Sasha said, "When I was talking with the volunteer, I felt so comfortable around her. After we got home, I placed the welcome note on the fridge as a reference. When it came time to put it away or toss it out, I felt a need to add it to the shoebox in case it helped me figure out who the mysterious M was." Struggling with what to do about it all, Sally tried to piece it all together in her head. Today's letter was the fifth object added over the course of 15 years. Whoever wrote the letters knew about her childhood and losing her cat. If it were the same person, they sneaked into her wedding to drop off that gift and watched them come close enough to have a letter waiting on her doorstep when she came home from giving birth. The incident with the teenager occurred when she was 24. Could that volunteer at the animal shelter be the same person? 11 years had passed between the two. That means the girl would have been in her 20s by then. It's been 4 years. What are the odds that she's still there? Even if she isn't, someone may help me. Her husband yelled from the kitchen, "Breakfast is ready. Come in to get it." Or "come and eat." Sorry. Sally took Sasha by the hand and pulled her along, leaving the shoebox on the bed. When the plates full of pancakes Mark helped his father make were empty, the two kids ran off to play, leaving the adults to clean up the mess. Sasha returned the towel after drying the last plate and said, I want to go back to that shelter. If there's a chance the volunteer who gave us that welcome note is the one watching over me all these years, I want to know. Her husband smiled and brought her in for a hug. I can watch over the kids. When you get back, I'll have something special ready for your birthday. He kissed her and left as he called out, Hey children, where did you go? Arriving at the animal shelter by herself, Sasha got out. She couldn't help but smile at how busy they were. As a fellow lover of animals, knowing there were still people around who were willing to care for and love them filled her with joy. Holding the shoebox in her arms, Sasha entered the shelter. Parents with their kids were all over the place, looking at the different pets up for adoption. 5 or 6 different employees were walking through the chaos, answering questions and monitoring the animals when they were let out into a controlled space. To her surprise, the woman from 4 years ago was there, no longer just a volunteer, but a full-time employee. Sasha waited for them to finish speaking to a couple, walked up from behind and asked, Are you M? Turning around, the woman froze when she saw who spoke to her. Sasha looked down at the name tag that read Mia, causing her to freeze too. The owner of the shelter came over, placed a hand on Mia's shoulder and asked, Is everything all right, Mia? Mia nodded and said to Sasha, Will you come with me so we can talk? They sat in silence in an office. Sasha placed the shoebox on the table and started placing each object down between them. Watching Mia's expression, she could tell the woman recognized them. You've been stalking me since I graduated with my master's degree. Why? Do you think it's a coincidence that I have the same name as the cat you lost when you were 9 years old? Asked Mia in response. She was implying a relation between the woman in front of her and the pet who died 30 years ago. None of this made sense. Please explain. What are you trying to say, Mia? Mia leaned back in her chair and looked at Sasha with a pained expression. When you were 6 years old, you dressed me up like a princess, playing alone in your bedroom. I didn't like how the fabric rubbed against my fur, but I let you do it anyways. At 8 years old, I got stuck in a tree exploring the backyard. When you tried climbing up, you fell, spraining your wrist. Mia leaned over the table and asked, Do I need to go on? Dress me up. I got stuck. Is she claiming to be my Mia? How old are you, Mia? 30. Her pet died when she was 9 years old. If what Mia was implying happened after her pet died, do you expect me to believe you are my Mia? Picking up the newest letter from the table, Mia waved it in her hand with a smirk and said, I told you you wouldn't believe me. Holding up a hand, Sasha asked, Can you give me a moment? And Mia nodded. When she couldn't find a reason to refute this absurdity, Sasha asked, When did you know who you used to be and why did you, you know, do all of this? As she pointed at the pile. We share the same birthday. I was born the day I died. My parents named me Mia. None of my past life memories surfaced until my 9th birthday. It's not like I could tell my family I used to be a cat, so I kept it to myself. By 15, I tracked you down. Mia grabbed the oldest note and held it up. The graduation ceremony was public, so I found someone who knew you and asked them to pass this on and left before they could ask questions. You inspired me to work with animals, too. I wanted you to think of me, so I snuck into your wedding and left the collar. When I turned 21, I started volunteering at this shelter and fell in love with it and Sam, who became my husband. We have a daughter now of our own. Placing her hand over Mia's, Sasha said, I'm happy for you. It can't have been hard living a new life knowing what you do. Can we be friends and stay in touch? Asked Mia with desperation. Sasha stood up and opened her arms. I would love that. You have no idea how much I've missed you. Mia pushed off the chair and embraced Sasha and whispered, I missed you too. The two of them remained friends, their shared secret a bond no one could break. Just because cats have 9 lives doesn't mean they spend them all as cats. Izzy, are you going to be okay? Um, so there was no way you could have known this, but Izzy had a cat named Mia at one point. So, yeah.
And I called her my pretty Princess Mia.
That was really good, by the way. It-
In all fairness, there was a hanky warning. And Jeffrey, you couldn't have known.
Unless, hold on, unless the meta, the 4D chess, the fourth wall break was that Jeffrey's been watching Izzy her entire life, and this is how he let her know.
That would make her one of the 100 and something horde from before.
Well, and here's the other thing, right? Jeffrey just said that he picked the name by Googling cat names. Mia is a very popular cat name. I did not pick it for my Mia. She came to me with that name because she was already 10 when I got her. But I've talked about Mia on stream before. She's one of the dead cat bodies in. So I've mentioned Tigger and Mia up in the cabinet. So
Unconsciously, he may have.
unconsciously, and then seeing it out of the list of cat names and like, "Ooh, I like that one." Don't know why.
And hold on, before we spin, I want to address something because two of you are coming after me for it. Okay, Julie and Izzy. The reason that I suggest that we don't read our own, and this is my logic, chat, back me up on this, okay? Everybody comes here for two reasons. One, we enjoy writing, we want to work on our writing, but we also want to get a genuine impression of our writing so we know where we can improve and where our strengths are. And
Mhm.
I feel like if we were to read our own, we already know the character voices, we know what they're going to say, we know how they're supposed to sound, so it comes across as a stronger delivery which can influence people's reactions to it.
I completely agree with you. However, it is not a hard and fast rule.
Fair. Just a strong
First of all,
suggestion.
I did not say that. Bitzer said, I don't care who reads mine. And I said, Sticks already read yours.
Oh, you said Sticks read your own.
Then that was autocorrect, and I
Gotcha.
Autocorrect is going to.
no, it says Sticks read yours.
Mine?
Anyway.
No. Bitzer has said
Allie?
he didn't care who read his. I said Styx Red
There's-
Doors.
Oh, then I misread it.
Okay.
That's on me.
Okay. I was like, how did I get pulled in the middle of this? I didn't do nothing. I'm sitting over here eating my Doritos, being good. For once. Or twice.
No, definitely once.
Bitzer was also saying, because they've said this before in Discord and everything else, they don't care who reads their stuff. We can fist fight over it for all we want. And sometimes we do, because when it's Zinnia, I'll fight anybody. Right?
You're literally the only person that's ever going to do Zinnia. You are going to have to do the audiobook. You've locked yourself
boo,
in.
Cupcakes! Boo, 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 cupcakes!
And
oh boy.
And baby.
Yarrow.
That's it. I was like, I know it starts with a Y. I was thinking yellow and I knew it was wrong.
Well, and here's the crazy thing, right? Yarrow, in my head, is this cute, precocious little baby, a flower name, all that, beautiful, right? Cute. And then Julie showed me something that she'd been working on, and Yarrow is a big, buff biker dude. So in my head, I've got cute little Yarrow, and yeah, my name's Yarrow.
Oh wait, no, I'll do one better. I'll do one better. It goes from that to boo. Blueberry pen cupcake. Blueberry cupcake.
That's going in the book now. Anyway, next.
I don't know what the book
That
is.
is so not going in the book.
Oh, that book.
I think it needs to go in the book. It needs to go in the book.
Charlie Herring. For context, this is a new pen name of
For Death's Head, right?
Yes.
Because it's the fish name.
I got it.
Yes.
All right.
We have content warnings, ladies and gentlemen. Content warnings. I don't think anybody will be bothered by these, but I read them out whenever people put them on there. Content warnings are as follows: nudity, profanity, and children smoking. I can only hope you mean cigarettes. Anyway, Chapter 1. The bell of a streetcar rang through the air, startling Blair Brody as he stood against the wall of a bakery at the mouth of an alleyway. He swallowed, taking a drag on his cigarette as he once more cast his gaze upon the passers-by. Look without anyone noticing you looking, he thought to himself, lowering his cigarette to take a swig of cherry soda. See without being seen seeing. The streetcar rolled by, a man at a newsstand across the street shouting into the wind, while a laughing young couple strolled past. Blair let them go by, seeing the approach of any policeman. For behind him, echoing out of the alleyway, was the scrape of shovels, pry bars, and stones in the hands of his siblings and their friend. They can't give me the death penalty, Blair reminded himself. I'm too young. As the street quieted too much, he held up a shoebox full of leaf cuttings and called into the quiet. Best tobacco on Hedwig Street. Best tobacco. Come get some. A clatter and a curse echoed from the alleyway behind him, Blair's heart leaping as he bellowed the refrain louder. Soon enough, a gaggle of workmen marched into view, their muttered conversation echoing into the stillness to cover the work unfolding behind him. Come on, Ward, Clara, Otto, get finished, Blair thought, once more looking out at the street and taking in what lay at the corners of his vision. A cat stalking a pair of pigeons on an awning, a woman closing a curtain in a high window across the way, and a policeman in his sledge gray uniform. Oh no. Blair kept his movements fluid, never looking twice at the approaching policeman, as he dropped his cigarette and fingered the warning whistle hanging around his neck. Seconds ticked down as the policeman approached, though he did not seem to notice that he had been seen. The mustachioed man twirled his baton, looking side to side, uncaring if anyone noticed his stares. At the last moment, Blair bellowed his refrain and turned to the policeman. Hey, mister, best tobacco. Fuck off, kid. The policeman snarled, pausing briefly to toss Blair to the sidewalk. A whistle like a bird echoed up the alleyway, cool relief spreading through Blair as he glanced down the way. There, sandy-haired Ward, dark-haired Clara, and the tall, gangly Otto Mueller leaned against the wall, puffing on smokes, their tools hidden away. With a deep breath, Blair smiled, rising from the stones as he said, Sorry, mister. You'd better be sorry, you rapscallion, the policeman muttered, casting a dim glare at the other three down the alleyway. Anything we can help you with, officer? Ward asked pleasantly. Yeah, anything? Otto asked, his words slurred from his accent and the 5 teeth missing on the left side of his upper jaw. Get up here and line up, the policeman barked, waving his baton. I've had enough of you red snots. You got nothing on us, Clara said, smirking. No sooner had the words left her mouth than Ward stepped forward to approach and tripped, falling to the alleyway as well. Blair's heart froze when he saw that his elder brother had slipped on a charger clip which had somehow avoided being buried. The policeman saw the brass bullets, shrieking, What the hell is that then? Scatter! Otto shouted. Time slowed as Blair seized the soda bottle and judged the distance, rolling it under where the policeman's shoe would land. The man cried out as he toppled over into a sticky red puddle, giving Blair time to race to Ward, help his brother up, and join their flight. Fuck, why did you take that out of the box? Clara snarled as they ran pell-mell down the alleyway and around a corner, the policeman's whistle cutting through the air behind them. I didn't take it out. It must have fallen out, Ward shot back. Don't worry now, comrades, Otto grunted. We beat the copper or else. They skidded around a corner, only to see a police wagon approaching down the other way. Blair cast his gaze quickly about, his eyes falling upon a stairwell sinking into the ground. He grabbed Ward's sleeve and began dragging his brother, the others falling in behind him as they ran down the sunken steps to find a palm reader and a fortune teller's office. Clara whipped out her lockpicks, making short work of them. The 4 slipped in through the door, carefully closing it behind them. For several tense minutes, they huddled in the dark, listening to shouts on the street above, a few sirens, and footfalls echoing dangerously close to their hiding place. Slowly, the voice above and outside. Slowly, the noise above and outside calmed. Blair breathing a sigh of relief. He whipped off his cloth cap, wiping the sweat from his auburn bangs before tucking them back in. Only then did he turn and look behind him, seeing walls covered in esoteric tapestries and a crystal ball on a table in the back. Well, that was exciting, Ward muttered, shaking his head slowly. You reckon they found the cash? Who knows? Who knows? Clara grunted, marching to a side table and opening a box of cards which she began doling out. What are these strange drawings? Hey now, we shouldn't simply make ourselves at home, Otto said warningly. This is a fortune teller's place, Ward said. If the proprietor didn't know we were going to be here, then he or she isn't much of a fortune teller. Now, am I right or am I right? I don't like this place, Blair said, shivering as he looked over the hangings on the walls. Images of burning skeletons dancing, of wolves devouring a baby, of a man being pulled apart by 4 horses, of a hanging man playing the fiddle while dozens wept, of a woman having her heart cut out upon a pyramidal altar. Let's get out of here. Yeah, we need to get moving, Claire said, tossing down the card box. Cassandra told me that one of the wiretaps in the Honey Lounge is on the fritz, and that'll take forever to find. You'll find it in no time, Ward said, patting her on the head. Fuck off, I'm not a little kid anymore. You should treasure moments like that, Otto murmured, his eyes growing distant. And you'll always be my kid sister, Ward said quickly. Then he beckoned Blair. Got it. Blair said, slipping up to the door and opening at the bear's crack. His keen eyes took in the scene outside. The police nowhere in sight, and a big gaggle of workmen walking past the top of the stairs. With a nod, the four of them marched up the steps and entered the little gaggle, becoming four more anonymous faces among too many to be counted. When they passed by the same policeman who'd been chasing them earlier, not a block down the street, his eyes passed over them all without seeing them, bringing a sly smile to Blair's lips. Music echoed through the wooden walls of the Honey Lounge, rising like vapor from the stage 2 stories below. Count Victor Breckenridge let it wash over him as he donned his clothes, feeling quite satisfied with his evening. He cast his one remaining eye over his shoulder where the red bombshell Cassandra Brody lounged quite naked, holding a cherry bounce daintily in her fingers. Her dark eyes drank in Victor just as her lips took in the crimson liqueur. Or so I'd like to think, given our year-and-a-half-long love affair. Victor finished buttoning his shirt, walking to the shelf on the far wall. He narrowed his eye, a lull in the music letting him hear a strange, electric whine which he had noticed during a dull in their lovemaking. Pretending to be examining one of the pictures of some rustic locale, he checked the wall behind. There he spied a crack in the wood, the pale light of the room falling upon a hidden microphone. A deep sigh escaped his lips. Is something the matter, lover? Cassandra asked in her heartbreakingly kind voice. Oh, I only thought I knew this place. Victor set down the photograph, his eye flicking over the room and spotting every little crack and crevice where their spying devices might be secreted. It made my heart grow fonder for a place over yonder. Did you know it? No, never been there. He walked over to the bed, putting on his best brave face as he leaned over and kissed her farewell, his fingers combing those red locks he craved so much. I don't know when I'll be back in town. Things are going to be hectic at the party this week. Sounds like everybody in the whole country. Cassandra sighed, looking wistful. I wish we could all get along. As do I. Victor turned on his heel and marched out of the room. He cast one last glance at her from the hallway, hoping against hope that it would not be the very last, before he closed the door and went on his way. A bitter laugh escaped his lips as he shook his head, his shaking hands digging out a lighter and a cigarette. Of course the daughter of a Union rabble-rouser and Angle's acolyte was fucking you for information. Get over yourself. Still, it hurt. Victor speeding his way down the red-lit hallway and out the fire escape to put the place quickly behind him. He arrived at the street to find a limousine waiting for him, his pug-nosed cousin Andrew glaring out the window at him. Victor ripped the door open and jumped inside, leaning back against the seat. What's the matter with you? Andrew asked as he signaled the driver. Well, in the last 3 days, I've learned that my office phone was being tapped by the police. My love nest is full of Jacobin microphones. My own father put bugs in my room at home. He took a long drag on his cigarette, blowing the smoke from his nose like an angry factory smokestack. I may as well hire a film crew and market my life as one of the talkies. If anyone would want to watch you gabbing about all day, Andrew rubbed his nose with his sleeve. Now, can we focus, please? I'm focused, Victor said, spreading his hands wide. We need to get some cash to our candidates in the Overland Corridor and buy some radio airtime. We need to get in contact with General Thomas Newark. Andrew cut in. The Popular Front is going to win, and then their gunmen are going to kill us and take everything. Oh, yes, I'm sure that fractious band of misfits is going to be completely united for our destruction, Victor snorted, tossing the cigarette out the window. All we need to do is avoid them, getting a 2/3 majority, and that land bill will never pass. You got your damn head in the clouds, or maybe somewhere darker and moister, if you think this is going to blow over, Andrew retorted. That's where you're wrong. I'm quite focused, and he paused, listening to something ticking as the limousine slowed to a stop. With a guttural growl, he leaned down, ripped up the seat, and discovered a wire recorder whirring away. Andrew, look, it's not my idea, but you are in bed with a red. That red invited me to her bed so she could record me, you dunce. Victor leaned back in his seat, shaking his head slowly. I should demand royalty payments, since everyone wants to record every fucking thing I say or do or contemplate. I told you it wasn't my idea, and that makes it all better, Victor murmured, lighting up a cigarette as the limousine whisked them onwards into next week's chapter.
The Dr. Seuss voice was funny, but that was a good one.
Oh, the Andrew character voice?
Yeah.
That was my best Sid the Sloth impression.
Also, Death, that was a good one. I think we've got the start of another good story.
Not the least of which is the fantastic pun that they keep talking about a red, and the pen name is Herring.
Yes. Yes.
Four left. Duck. I do. Oh, okay. Get in the right spot.
All right, over there.
I have COPD.
That would do it.
You need me to very good.
It's 1,000 words. We'll be good. All right. This appears to be in connection with the Huey Project. Lydia. There's something odd and almost grim about corner houses, and I don't mind. They were a cheap sale and even cheaper if misfortune struck the last owners. So I thought this little abode was perfect for me, my growing grapefruit, and my sweet bloodhound, Trusty. Emptiness roamed around the old house with his gloomy cloud trudging behind him. No one could see him, but the tobacco always stunk up any room he claimed. Trusty would whimper at the scent. The neighbors knew too much. They checked in, and it was nice at first. Some folks even left lasagna for me on the porch. It was always 5 layers of cheese and some variation of the same recipe. Old Lydia would have asked for the recipe, but I wasn't her anymore. And people couldn't accept that. People gave me those eyes, the "you're so brave" eyes, that "I'll pray for you" gaze, and often asked me about Doug. Color me surprised when he was at the new home. not a single drop of water soaking his clothes. He nodded at me as he crossed the floor that evening. My heart cracked as he grabbed a beer bottle from the fridge. It was as if nothing had happened yesterday. Why would the report tell me that the lake took him? He descended to the basement to flirt with solitude. The old house had a basement. His footsteps thumped all the way down to the floor. A sharp tink rang against the floorboards and my chest wanted to split. I waddled to the stairs, expecting to see a metal cap on the boards, but there was nothing. I dashed to the fridge and checked. There were no beer bottles. I rubbed my eyes. The news of his departure must have grief-struck me, and these were memories. Very vivid memories. Trusty approached me with puppy eyes and a whimper. I patted my buddy and he booped my growing belly. It's okay, boy. It's just the wind. If a dog could give a side eye, Trusty would. I chuckled as I ascended to the second floor, the sound of Trusty's nails clattering floorboards in my wake. The nursery door was cracked. I squinted through the dimness. Odd. The sun still lulled in the clouds outside, and 5 o'clock barely chimed a few minutes ago. I opened the door and had to do a double take. The chair rocked on its own in the empty nursery. Trusty whined again, tugging at my pajama pants, reminding me that he disliked this room. Just the wind, Trusty, I assured him. I passed the plastic wraps taped on the walls, ignored the half-built crib I still needed to finish, and put a hand through the window. No wind, not even the weighted sigh of disappointment. I gulped, slid the window shut, and locked it. Again. I had closed it before, right? For extra measure, I sealed the wooden shutters. I snapped the light on and checked for any potential pests. None. With relief, I exhaled, shut off the light, and left to the pathway. That's when I heard him. Hey, baby doll, he whispered. His lips were hovering by my ear. Trusty dropped a low, menacing growl. I swear his flannel shirt pressed against my back. I did a 180 spin, pinning my back against the door. My heart squeezed when I scanned the pathway. No one was there. I gripped my robe's fluffy lapels. Was I losing it? Mama begged me to bless the house, but I didn't believe in that sort of thing. Hell, no one on our old block did. Let's turn in early. I just need to unwind. Occurrences happened for several more days. By the third night, I had accepted that my house was haunted. I never heard anyone call me baby doll again, though, and truthfully, I didn't want to. I hoped Doug stayed 6 feet under, where he belonged. The first haunt was of a boy who I affectionately named Lou. I didn't mind hearing the little boy giggling, but some of the neighbors complained and asked me to tell my son to keep it down when the sun tucked in for the night. When he put hands on my Trusty, however, I put my foot down. Lou, I said firmly, we use nice hands on Trusty. Soft pets. Do you understand? At first, I'd hear nothing, and Trusty would give me that goofy crocodile smile. But as the days rolled on, he started speaking. Lou, not my bloodhound. Yes'm, he'd whisper. Eventually, I would leave toys around for Lou to play with, and his presence grew gentler and warmer. He especially loved when I left toys that both he and Trusty could play with. Sometimes I'd catch Trusty playing fetch alone, but then the ball would roll or throw on its own, and I'd throw a casual, "Good morning, Lou." "Morning," he'd whisper. The evenings were always active. I was wondering if I should take up Mama's suggestion about blessing the house, but I didn't want Lou to get hurt. 2 glowing red eyes on a shadow. It watched us from the hallway. Every time they showed up, my stomach cramped and sweat beaded down my neck. I could feel emptiness stalking me again, demanding my attention, but I would always knit at the couch with Trusty at my feet and lose warmth on my side. When they disappeared, Lou vanished and I waddled quickly to my room. Even in bed, it was easy to hear the floorboards creak downstairs. For whatever reason, the shadow never approached the second floor, and I hoped it was from washing the steps with purified salt water. The other 2 haunts, I prefer to pretend they never happened, and I still could never see Lou. Never in my life had I known that I would have let in a stranger a month later. There was something about her white dress, that freckled nose, and beautiful blonde hair. She called herself Julienne and asked if she could seek shelter for the afternoon as rain poured. What? Oh, my mouse stopped working. My mouse must have stopped working because I'm scrolling and it's not responding. It's not responding. It won't let me go down to the rest of the story because there is no more.
I'm waiting for the book.
Yes, 404. Yes, definitely a 404.
Yeah, I don't recommend. I mean, everyone, you do you. You're all adults and things, but I don't recommend making friends with the Ooga Boogas because you don't inviting something in doesn't mean you get to choose what comes in. Unfortunately, and they're not always nice, sweet little kids who play fetch with your puppy.
No, they're not. Sometimes there are civil war, and you have to explain to them they can't shoot the gun in the house. Though I haven't seen him in a long time.
I can't wait for the Huey project to literally be put all in order, all in context, and I can sit and I can read it from top to motherfucking bottom because I have questions. I have loads and loads of questions, and I feel like reading it in order might solve those questions and who is who and what is what. And I should Julie.
I would like to think that, yes, we will have answers or at least a conclusion of said answers. But I know our crew.
Okay, but the whole point is to get people to the point where they have a manuscript that is completely worth publishing. So there will have to be enough answers, and if they leave too many things left unsaid, well, now they got to do a sequel.
Ew, sequels.
Hey, shut up.
Oh, Izzy froze.
How did I freeze? Did I freeze?
I don't know.
We can still hear
You
you.
froze.
It's just your video's frozen.
We can hear you, but you're
Give it a minute.
Motherfucker. Motherfucker. I'm not even going to modify that one. Iozi? Iazi?
Lozzie?
Iazi froze.
Yes.
Okay, I am Izzy, not Ozzy. There is a big difference.
One eats
Besides the
bats,
fact that
one
you're on
collects
this side of the
cats.
dirt.
I would.
It's bats, one likes cats.
I was gonna go with ones on this side of the dirt. Um,
I mean, there is that too. Oh, I know you
I like the
mistyped.
bats and cats one better.
the cats and bats.
We know it was an accident, Bitzer. That's okay, but it created for some really cute content. Okay, I am still frozen. Let's see if it fixes. Uno momento.
Riding on the
Riding on the
crazy
crazy
train.
train. Is that our motto?
No,
doesn't yell out
don't
Sharon.
yell out
Mine has
Sharon.
Julie.
Yes. I do yell out names though.
Funny story about that song. A little bit of stick slur here. And for those of you who are, with a partner will know whether you are on the giving or receiving end of it. But for some reason, anytime the booty bongos happen, because they happen, it's always to the crazy train. And when I say that, I mean literally using the booty like bongos.
There may or may not be a reason that Crazy Train was never on in the background back when I was. Yeah, no. Mm-mm. No.
I didn't think about that. Oh my god.
No.
I always just
no.
dum dum. She's like, "You're doing Crazy Train again," and I'm like, "Son of a bitch! I didn't even notice. I'm sorry."
Oh my god. Oh my god. I can't.
I can't breathe. Oh
Nope.
my.
Spinning. Nope. Oh,
Me anyway.
brought it on himself.
I did. Do you
Oh
guys
my god.
want me to read it, or am I reading, or is someone else reading this?
I will read it if Izzy is wanting a break.
She's passing it over, so.
I hear it.
Oh gosh, there's a character. Oh yeah, that's right, Kevin. That's a name that I have a very difficult time saying. And for the record, if any of you motherfuckers ever make me read a character that is moaning the name Kevin, I will never forgive you.
Same with Bob. Okay. Yep. What happened there?
No, there's only one spicy scene in this book that I have planned. It will not feature Kevin. It will not be submitted for stream.
That's probably a good idea.
All right.
For record, Kevin was my father's name. Bob is Kesh's father's name. So please do not make us ever do that. I mean, Ghostly Moan, I'm pretty sure after 4 years, Pop has finally decided to haunt my house. So I have pissed him off in some way, shape, or form. But that's besides the fact.
I think it has something to do with the death couch.
Are we ready? The basement was a world carved from cold, poured concrete, shadows, and the sounds of a house that had forgotten about him. For 10 years, that subterranean room beneath Kevin and Karen's house was entirely of what Logan knew as home. A single, bare, incandescent bulb dangled from a frayed yellow wire between the ceiling joists, casting harsh, trembling halos across the unfinished floor. His bed was a thin foam mattress set directly against the damp foundation wall, covered by a scratchy wool blanket that smelled perpetually of mildew and old dust. Above him, the floorboards groaned under the daily rhythm of a family he was never permitted to join. He learned to track the house by sound alone. The heavy, rhythmic thud of Kevin's work boots denoting danger, the sharp, impatient click of Karen's heels signaling chores or scorn, and the lighter, bouncing footsteps of young James that brought a fleeting glimmer of warmth to his chest. While the sons of Fenrir Pack relegated Omegas to the manual tasks and treated them as a lesser, the extreme disgust directed as Logan was uniquely personal to Kevin. To Kevin, taking in an abandoned, parentless pup was an insult to his pride, and he made sure Logan never forgot it. You exist in this house on sufferance, runt. Kevin would sneer, standing at the top of the basement stairs with his arms crossed. You eat the scraps we don't finish. You sleep where my family doesn't have to look at you. And you keep your mouth shut. The council gave me a duty to keep you breathing until you're grown, but they never said you had to be comfortable. Karen's cruelty was quieter, but cut just as deep. She treated Logan not as a living pup, but as an unwanted chore. Meals were never handed to him. A plate of stale bread crust, gristle, and leftover potatoes would be set on the top of the on the top step, followed by the sharp slide of the brass deadbolt locking the door. If a task went unfinished, the firewood wasn't stacked neatly, or the lawn had a single patch of weeds, she simply withheld food for 2 days, scoffing that an Omega didn't burn enough energy to warrant regular feeding anyways. Yet, despite the abuse, the basement was not entirely barren of light. James, Kevin's biological son, refused to understand his parents' hatred. Being only a year older than Logan, the young alpha saw Logan simply as a brother. Wherever Kevin was away on patrol, whenever Kevin was away on patrol and Karen was occupied upstairs, James would quietly slide the brass deadbolt back and slip down the wooden steps. He would creep down into the dim room, a warm smile lighting up his boyish face, holding a stolen candy bar, a fresh apple, or a handful of plastic action figures under his shirt. "Hey, Logan," James would whisper, sitting cross-legged on the dusty foam mattress. "Look what I grabbed from the kitchen. It's real chocolate. Don't let Mom find the wrapper." They would sit together beneath the dangling light bulb, staging mock battles with action figures and speaking in hushed tones about the outside world. James would eagerly recount the stories he had heard from older warriors in the village, talking about the high northern ridges, hunting runs through the pines, and what it felt like to run fast. "When I take over the packs, things are going to change, Logan," James promised fiercely one afternoon when they were children, puffing out his young chest with determination. "Dad says Omegas are lesser, but I don't care about rank. You're my brother. When I'm Alpha, you're going to live upstairs, and we're going to explore the high mountain trails together every single day." Logan would only offer a quiet nod, his throat tight. He loved James for the promise, even while the cold reality of his life whispered that Kevin would never permit such a dream. One day, Kevin returned home from a council meeting and found the basement door unlocked. He marched down the stairs and caught the two boys sitting on the concrete, laughing as they shared a comic book and moved plastic figures across the floor. The fallout was immediate and terrifying. Kevin's roar rattled the wooden joists overhead. He grabbed James by the scruff of his collar, shoving his own son towards the stairs with a furious reprimand. before turning his full fury onto Logan. That night, Kevin dragged Logan across the concrete, beating him until his ribs ached and his vision blurred. "You do not touch my son," Kevin snarled, his eyes flashing with crimson fire as his beta aura pressed the air from Logan's small lungs. "You do not speak to him, you do not play with him, and you do not drag him down to your level. If I ever catch you distracting him from his future again, you won't be sleeping in this basement. You'll be sleeping in a ditch." From that day forward, the distance between them widened. James was placed under strict supervision, groomed relentlessly for leadership, while Logan remained isolated in the dark. Starting at age 5, Logan was sent to the human public school in the neighboring town alongside James and the other young pack members. The human administration and teachers had no knowledge of werewolves, operating under the standard belief that the children living in the rural mountain valley were ordinary citizens. For young wolves, public school served as a mandatory training in blending seamlessly into human society. Once a wolf went through their first transformation, they continued attending regular classes, while pack-specific topics such as shifting control, scent masking, and pack history were taught privately on territory grounds in the evenings and on weekends. For Logan, school offered little comfort. He wore oversized faded hand-me-downs that Karen pulled from old donation boxes. He spoke to no one, keeping his head down and sitting at the back of every classroom. Because he was scrawny, quiet, and perpetually reserved, he became an easy target for bullies among both human and pack children. Older boys knocked books from his hands in the hallways or shoved him into lockers between periods. Logan endured it all in absolute silence. He never retaliated, never complained to teachers, and never gave his tormentors the satisfaction of seeing him react. Beneath his quiet exterior, a sharp, observant mind was constantly at work. While other students spent their free time socializing, Logan spent every study hall and school library devouring books on geography, botany, wildlife behavior, and wilderness survival. He studied topographical maps of the Cascade Range in Washington state, memorizing every river basin, abandoned logging trail, and natural cave system that lay beyond the pack's boundary lines. He knew he would have to escape one day, and knowledge was the only weapon he possessed. In werewolf biology, the first transformation naturally coincided with puberty, typically manifesting around 12 or 13 years of age. When James turned 13, he underwent his change smoothly, and Kevin and the pack celebrated with traditional ceremony marking his first shift and natural maturation. Logan, however, was a late bloomer. He was nearly 15, and at, as his freshman year drew to a close, he had still shown zero signs of shifting. Kevin used the delay as constant ammunition, openly mocking him as a defective runt who lacked enough wolf blood to ever change. The change finally struck in the dead of night before the final day of school. It began without warning at midnight. Logan awoke on his thin foam mattress, his body violently seized by a white-hot fever. A searing agony ripped through his core, feeling as though his skeleton were being fractured and rebuilt from the inside out. His muscles spasmed, and the cartilage in his face shifted with excruciating pressure. Logan clutched the concrete floor, his fingernails digging into the stone. "I can't make a sound," his mind screamed through blinding pain. If Kevin heard him thrashing, if the beta discovered that Logan was finally shifting in the middle of the night, Logan knew there would be no celebration. Kevin would see his late transformation as a disruption, an excuse to enforce even harsher restrictions, or cast him out before he could find his footing. Logan dragged the corner of his rough wool blanket into his mouth, biting down hard to choke back the groans tearing from his chest. Sweat poured into his eyes as his spine arched and lengthened. Sleek, pitch black fur sprouted across his skin, covering his arms and torso. His jaw stretched with a sickening pop, teeth sharpening into clean canine points. For 2 agonizing hours, Logan fought through the restructuring of his physical form in total silence, refusing to let a single floorboard squeak above him. When the pain finally receded into a dull hum, Logan pushed himself up up onto 4 paws. He looked down at his limbs. He had transformed into an adolescent black wolf, his frame sleek, lean, and perfectly proportioned to his 14-year-old body. His senses were razor sharp. He could hear the faint rustle of wind through the grass outside, smell the morning dew gathering on the foundation stones, and see every crack in the concrete floor with flawless clarity. Instinct guided him. He focused on his human shape, feeling the cool sensation of black mist wrap around his fur. Within moments, the mist dissolved, leaving him sitting bare on the floor in human form. He glanced up at the small rectangular window near the top of the foundation wall. Through the glass, the morning sky was glowing with soft gray light of dawn. Above him, he heard the faint hum of Karen's television in the living room and the clatter of a frying pan on the stove as she began making breakfast, completely oblivious to what had just happened below. Logan stood up on steady legs. He pulled on a worn pair of jeans and dark sweatshirt. The last day of school passed in a blur of anxiety. Logan sat near the back of the pack's dedicated school bus, his legs vibrating with nervous energy. The bus driver, a stoic warrior named Marcus, navigated the gravel roads through the thick mountain timber, eventually pulling into the stone town square. While the other pack kids laughed and scattered towards their homes, Logan kept his head down and walked quickly towards Kevin's house. He had planned this day for months. Kevin wouldn't return from his duties at the Alpha's Manor for another 2 hours. James was at the athletic field for summer football drills. Karen was home, but she was occupied upstairs. As Logan quietly opened the front door, the muffled sounds of grunting, moaning, and rhythmic bed springs echoed down the hallway from the master bedroom. It was another strange scent lingering in the foyer, another male while Kevin was away at work. For the first time, Logan was thankful for Karen's infidelity. The noise guaranteed no one would hear him move through the ground floor. Logan tiptoed through the living room and into the kitchen. He grabbed the canvas duffel bag he had stashed under the sink that morning, along with the school bag he'd dropped by the back door. Inside were 3 pairs of hand-me-down clothes, a pocket knife James had given him for his birthday, and every non-perishable food item he had managed to hoard over the past 6 weeks. He had no other belongings. 10 years in this home, and his life fit into a single battered bag. Leaving James was the only part of the plan that made his chest ache. James was the lead beta's golden son, loved by his parents and the pack's future alpha. He would be fine without Logan. In truth, Logan knew his presence only brought James trouble. Kevin frequently punished James whenever he caught the boys playing together. Logan slung the bag over his shoulder, silently opened the back door, and stepped onto the patio. The moment his bare feet hit the cool grass at the edge of the yard, he didn't look back. He sprinted into the dense brush of the timberline, the thick canopy swallowing him whole. Once he was 50 yards deep into the sanctuary of trees, Logan let go of his human shape. His body dissolved into a swirl of dark mist, condensing instantly into the sleek form of a black wolf. The forest exploded into vivid, razor-sharp detail. His wolf senses amplified everything: the distant hollow croak of a raven high in the ridge pines, the damp moss scent beneath his paws, the rustle of a field mouse diving under the loam. He leaned down, snapped his jaws shut around the canvas strap of his duffel bag, and bolted into the deep wilderness, silently vowing that no matter what happened, he would never return. And we are done. That was really good. Yeah, right, Luna? If he becomes the villain, it's valid. I think we lost Izzy and Julie.
I think we did.
No, I'm here. I'm just kind of dealing with something for a minute.
It's a long minute. It's all good. You do what you got to do. Izzy's back. She looks upset about something, but we don't know what.
Yeah.
It could be anything. It's Izzy.
I'm just a hobbyist.
I am just a hobbyist. I am definitely not writing a chapter a day and currently on track to finish the book by next week's show. Definitely not. Because it's a hobby, you know, something I do after work. Anyway, there's 2 names left on that wheel.
That was, yeah, you're right, Bitzer. That was a very specific denial. I thought mine was the only one with a river in it. Oh, the quokka ears are coming out.
She can't look intimidating with or without them.
You know what? Just because I'm a couple of inches shorter than you doesn't mean fucking squat. All right. Here's the deal. Okay. A bunch of the rest of us all also have day jobs and write after work. I don't write a chapter a day. No, the fuck I don't. I might write a scene every 2 weeks. Okay. Don't give me that motherfucking shit. You are going to keep doing this. And if I have to enlist baby girl, I fucking will. Okay?
I'm gonna finish it. It's never gonna see the
You
light of day. Outside of this group getting to witness it on the Promptcast and my computer, that is where it will live.
Sure. Yeah, sure. We'll see about that.
She has your address. You know that, right?
She doesn't have my computer password. She can't get to the book.
Touche.
But she doesn't need to. It's Izzy.
I know enough IT people. Luna! A valiant chase. Author's note. Diving into this one with kid gloves and keeping it around PG-13. Oh, dear God, why are you doing this to me? Please remember, these are consenting adults. Kinks involved. Chasing, cuffing, and praise.
Hold on. Pause. First off, what Luna said in the chat. Yes, we kind of did say, hey, show me, hit me with your best shot. But I do remember a very specific, she claimed it was going to be wholesome smut this week.
It does say, I feel I owe it to y'all after last week's heavy piece. By the way, yes, I am requested for this one. So, since, but sure, whatever. I sneak into Daddy's room, my suppressed giggles threatening to wake him. Thankfully, the plush carpet mutes my footsteps, while my bottom lip finds its way in between my teeth once I'm closer. The fluffy pink cuffs in my hands tremble with excitement when I encircle one of Daddy's wrists. The slow clicking of the notches on one cuff ties my stomach in knots, the sound too loud within the morning stillness. Ultimately, I get it locked into place. Daddy gives a snort and scratches his wide chest, skin glistening like onyx in the sunlight. He otherwise remains asleep. I consider him the most beautiful daddy, so caring and stern, softly brutal. I shake myself, settling back to the task at hand. I slip the extended chain of the cuffs around the back of the nearest bedpost. Gingerly, carefully, I remove his other wrist into the cuff. My lungs hold my breath captive as I click this one into place. There's a beat of silence during which I admire my handiwork, a coy smile tugging my lips upward. Perhaps as karma, I sneeze, just as Daddy's golden amber eyes open. First, a sleepy smile crescents his lips, immediately followed by his brow furrowing, then a simmering annoyance narrowing his eyes. He tugs on the cuffs, then yanks, but it proves futile. His voice is low, menacing as he orders, "Little girl, unlock these cuffs right now, and I'll take it easy on you." I take a few steps away, a blush heating my cheeks. I cup my hands behind my back, biting the inside of my cheek to stifle the arising giggle. Voice strained, I fib, "I would, but I don't know where the key is." The snapping of the chain sets butterflies to fluttering in my stomach, and my body tingles all over, most notably in my bottom. Daddy stands, the blanket falling away. His body is coiled like a spring, his chest rising and falling with heavy breaths. You've 15 seconds to get downstairs, out of this house, and to the end of the driveway. If you can't, I'm putting my hand to your ass for a count of 20. My entire body tenses, every cell throbbing in anticipation. My grin is open mouthed within the pregnant pause. Daddy steps forward twice, his shoulders rolling back. He easily breaks the cuffs, freeing his wrists, and breathes out a chuckled run. I hightail it down the hall, around a corner, and down the stairs. I am too aware of Daddy's stomping runs, reminding me very much of a giant chasing after a trespasser, and I giggle huffingly at the comparison. When my feet hit the wooden floor, I slip, nearly falling. A rocking chair saves me at the last minute. Leaving it behind, rocking as though on its own, the door is in sight. I give a whine at all of the locks in place. Daddy's security measures. My fingers fumble nearly every one, taking far longer than under usual circumstances. Sweat drips from my face, pulse roaring through my ears until I finally free the final lock. I throw it wide, barely stepping over the threshold before I'm yanked inside, my back against Daddy's chest, his arm holding my waist captive. Eyes wide, my body alive with adrenaline, I stare in horrid delight as he shuts the door and engages two of the locks. He teases, breath light desert heat against my ear. Looks like I win our little game, my darling brat. He spins me to face him, and I'm trapped between two very hard surfaces, one slightly cool, the other scorching. He presses further into me, a shivering moan escaping me when he pushes his thigh up between my legs to create the most delicious friction. Daddy. He lifts one hand, resting it where my chin and throat meet, squeezing a caress gently. His gaze tracks my face slowly, eyes darkening to chocolate. He presses his nose to my pulse, one long inhale and one heavy exhale. One sharp nip of his teeth leaves me gasping, his thigh still at work. I would have melted if not for his strength holding me in place. My fingers subconsciously glide across his scalp as I push into him. My favorite part is always the surrender. And you enjoy giving in to me, don't you, beloved? Uh-huh. I barely croak, almost lost to a thin gray fog and a tinny ringing that fills my hearing. Daddy's breath is a warmed breeze across the shell of my ear. Then say it, loud enough for me to hear it. Dazed, my eyes are mesmerized by his, and I imagine swimming within their depths. He looks me over as though he hasn't watched me all this time. I'm yours, my dearest daddy. He chuckles with satisfaction and pride, his thigh leaving the apex of my thighs once he placed his foot back on the floor. That's my good girl. Now over daddy's knee, and you're going to count every spank out loud. A lopsided laugh finds its way out of my throat as I willingly, wobbly, follow my daddy. Dun dun dun.
What was that last bit? Did you say dun dun dun? Or was that more daddy, daddy, daddy? I couldn't tell.
I believe that was a dun dun dun.
Please don't ever make me do that again.
I had to turn that off.
You kind of challenged her.
I would keep going back in and out, going like, "Is it over? Nope, nope. Okay." Ah! I'll listen to that when I can put headphones in.
Look, challenge or not, that was in the safety of Discord. Not something that's going to be out there for the masses in infinity, indefinitely.
So this VOD's not going up. No.
Is already out.
It's already I mean, I could go back and delete it, but there's too many other good things. No, I'm just gonna hide now.
Just edit out that entire portion, right?
Well, we could always private it and then.
Bitzer, do we have a daddy counter for the Discord count?
Look, I had to hide my face. I know it has my name on there, but
I got this one.
Okay, thank God. Is it more incubi?
Yes.
Oh my God.
Oh God.
It was requested that I do it because, and I quote, there is a very deep bass voice in this, so Styx would be the best choice for reader. So I have to prepare myself here. A shopkeeper swept the last of the dust out of his shop and onto the damp cobblestones outside. He stopped to take in the air, clear and cool after the heavy rain. Out of nowhere, the day had become unreasonably fine. Shame it had waited till the day was nearly over to do it. Most folks hereabouts had either headed home or were preparing for nighttime business. He was just on the point of closing up early when he spotted a man coming his way down the street. He was a little stiff and drab, but he wore the sort of mantle favored by university students, and a pendant of bright, mystic green hung from his neck. "Hello there," the shopkeeper called brightly. The man didn't so much as look at him. The shopkeeper frowned and considered calling a second time when he noticed. The man's clothes were soaked through. He must have been walking about during the worst of the squall. Another sale would be nice, but it wasn't worth washing the floor again, so he let the man go by. At a crossroads which abutted the university's courtyard wall, a barrel sat in a corner formed by a 2-foot deviation eastward along the south running wall. Atop this barrel leapt a cat. He examined the edges of his perch, yawned, stretched, and then proceeded to lap the afternoon sun into his fur. It made such a nice change, after spending all day indoors where people were incessantly trying to pet him, and yet pets are never available when one's really in the mood for them. Just then, he heard slow footsteps and glanced up the street. A man was ambling along, shoulder nearly grazing the wall. A casual sniff revealed him to be a spark wielder, and those tended to be good for a chin scratch or two. The cat mewed at the man and got no response. The cat examined him closer, noticed that the somewhat willowy frame, and meowed again, a little higher. The stubborn primate's eyes didn't so much as flicker. Gracious, that one could give my mother lessons. The cat lifted the paw to try and catch at the man's sleeve, but just before he came in range, he turned his feet and followed the road which dovetailed southward, deeper into the city. The cat put his paw back down and kept quiet. Oh dear, he's not from over that away, is he? Luckily, he didn't see me after all. With the dodgy man gone, the cat completed his toilette in peace. By then, the sun was scarcely a paw's width higher than the city wall, just enough time for one more nap before nightfall. Ever so slightly northeast from the center of the southern half of Chance's red light district, there rests a public garden. The fountain, which once stood so proudly as its centerpiece, has now been vandalized beyond recognition, and what remains has been so thoroughly weather-beaten and graffitied that it now resembles a lump of coral. Accompanying it are a pair of wooden benches, the newest part of the garden, yet so carved and graffitied that they might have grown out of the city's bedrock. On one of these benches, Arosio held one leg tucked beneath him, using the heel of his shoe for a cushion. It may have been the discomfort of his strange posture that awoke in his mind, allowing him to perceive at last where his feet had taken him. It was a place he recognized. He had sat on this same bench just yesterday, even in this same posture, while the two of them talked. He could even pick out the point where their knees had touched. He brushed his fingers over the lacerated wood and was almost surprised to find it damp and cold when he remembered it warm from Atreus's heat. The corner of the garden drew his eyes. An ash stood there, its shady boughs sprawling across the sky and reaching across the ivy-laden gate that hid its trunk from view. Rubbing his fingers together, surprised to find the memory of its bark against his palms was still fresh, as fresh as the ghosts of lips and fingers that traced heat across his neck, his shoulders, his ribs. He lifted a hand to his ear, fever warm as though from the demon's breath. His lips quivered. One eye twitched, then both began to disgorge shimmering tears by the ounce. With nowhere else to turn, he leaned against the back of the bench, pressing mouth to arm to stifle his sobs. Little one. The bass rumble pulled him down, as if he'd been hovering somewhere above himself. He lifted a face sticky with snot and looked at the figure beside him. For a moment he shrank in animal fear at the whiteless black eyes with gold irises that stared at him like something coming down out of the firmament. But they were shaped in so compassionate and pitying a stare, he couldn't help but be calmed. Who? He would have thought the face was a woman's, if not for the voice he'd heard. The skin was so pale, the features delicate and slender and clearly touched with makeup. The lids had been lined white to offset the ebony sclera, while purplish shadow had been used to add wings to the eye's outer points. They almost drew his attention away from the metallic red hair that fell to his hips. Lips painted palest pink were drawn together in a sympathetic frown. Who are you? Orosio's eyes finally took in the kneeling stranger's exotic garments. Robes such as he had never seen, impeccably white, patterned with cherry boughs in full bloom and bordered with purple silk. Garments too fine to be worn in a garden in the bowels of Chance's red light district. You don't remember me. The eyes before him reflected calm dismay atop their pity. I suppose it was too much to expect. It has been many years since we met. "Oh, where?" He was fuddled and couldn't get the full question out. Fortunately, the stranger seemed to understand. I lived very close to you, around your village when you were little. I can't recall ever seeing you, said Erosio, who felt sure he would have remembered. The man, if man it was, let out a breath that was almost a laugh. No, I didn't get about very much. I still don't, as a rule, but though you seem to have forgotten, you did help me once. He put out a pale hand and very gently rested his warm fingers on Erosio's knee. Now, I'd like to help you, if I can. A part, a very small part, of Ari was warmed merely by the gesture, but as it was, I don't think there's much you can do to help me. He looked away then, blinked, and fresh blots of tears streamed down his cheeks. I almost killed someone. Oh, Arosio. With surprisingly little energy, the figure scooped Ari into his arms, cradling him like a newborn in the folds of those soft, fragrant robes. He hadn't realized until then just how large the man was. 2 meters tall if he was an inch, and must have weighed upward of 16 stone. But just then, it felt like the perfect size. What happened, little one? Why did you try to kill someone? I thought it was a moment before the mage could pull himself together. I thought he had kidnapped someone because he was near where the person went missing, and I knew about his history. His history? He used to. But it felt suddenly gauche and distasteful to talk of another's wrongdoing while his own crime stared him in the face. It was 500 years ago. If I'd bothered to ask anyone before I just. He clutched at the man's robes and hid his face in them, sobbing like a child. Shh. The man petted him softly, gentle as a mother, cradling the boy beneath him. It's all right. He's not dead. You did say almost killed someone, didn't you? This seemed to make Erosio cry all the harder. He, he, he squeaked and hiccuped his way through tears to wail. He's gone. He's gone. Who's gone? Atreus. He fell into hopeless sobs. Why? Because Tirima sent him away. His mother. The stranger seemed genuinely alarmed. Why? Ari heaved and hyperventilated. He he just stood there. He would have let them. He almost let himself be executed. He realized aloud. For a moment he stared abstractedly into the distance. Then his attention returned to the weeping boy as suddenly as it had left. But, Orosio, that doesn't make sense. Why would his mother make him leave when he was ready to give up like that? But Ari had no answers to give. He was all sobs now. His mind replayed over and over the way Terima had pushed Atreus's face to the side so he was no longer looking at her, how he had strained and struggled, trying to turn his head forward, as though straining against some invisible force. His cry, Mama, over and over as he tried to reach her with feet that refused to move in her direction. How he'd howled as he staggered forward, every step taking him away from her, away from Chance, away from Ari. A long time passed as Ari cried there in the garden, with the faint glow of sunset adding a first touch of rouge to the sky overhead. The city seemed somehow to respect the silence of that place and give him the space he needed. It felt warm and safe, somehow, to be cradled here in the arms of a man he'd never met or had met long ago. The man was speaking to him again now. Orosio, I can see that you're in terrible pain. I wish I could help. Perhaps I can. I have a house a little ways from here, an easy day's flight. I can have you there by morning. In truth, I've been building it for some time. I wanted to make sure it was ready before you saw it. He found one of Erosio's hands in the folds of his robe and pressed it gently. I think it might make you feel happy to see it, and to rest there a while. If nothing else, it would give you a quiet place to retreat until you feel ready to face all this again. As he listened, Orosio's sobs began to slow. He was now only gasping, his breath regaining some kind of rhythm, albeit still a frenzied one. He could picture it, a tall brick estate covered in ivy, not unlike the mayor's home, a splendid manor house filled with servants, where the man's expensive attire would look at home. He could rest there, eat whatever was given to him, and slowly come to terms with what he had done. It tempted him so strongly, he felt almost sick with himself. But why not? It's not like I'm wanted here anymore. Before him, yet again, flashed Volzek's hurt, accusing stare. He heard the voice he loved speaking in cold tones he'd never imagined the incubus producing, words angled at him. Did you even think to ask anyone for advice before you set out to end somebody's life? But with the memory of Volzek, a whole host of other memories came to the surface. Memories of mulled wine and lyre music and fires upon the frozen lake. Memories of feasting and singing with faces he'd spent his whole life hiding from. Memories of warm arms around his waist as he and Volzek had twined together in the first inn they found after setting out on the long journey to Chance. Eventually, his breath was a soft, rattling whisper through dry lips, and he smelled the lush decay of the garden around him. That's very kind of you, he said in something like his normal voice, but I can't accept. The sad smile in the corner of his vision became a sad frown, and he looked up into the black, golden eyes that glowed down at him with compassion and attentiveness. I I've hurt too many people who I care about. I tried to kill someone Volzek loves. I caused a rift between Terima and her son. I put Spald in a bad position because he thought he was hoping to avenge his sister. I can't just abandon them. Orosio sat up a little and squeezed the hand still holding his, trying to put every ounce of warmth and gratitude that was due into the gesture. I've spent enough of my life cowering and pitying myself. Even if there's nothing I can do, I need to try and make things right. A long, long silence passed in the garden, neither man shifting or changing expression. At last, the crimson haired stranger gave a soft, "Okay." The word seemed to break a tension Ari hadn't really sensed until it was broken. The evening insects found their voices again and raised a welcome to the coming night. The man cradling him, closed his eyes, took a deep breath in through his nose, and as he breathed out, repeated it with, "Okay." Ari could see plain then how much the man had been looking forward to it, and felt a little regretful. He hoped asking the man to walk him back to the dormitory might make up for it. Well, can't say I didn't try it the easy way. Oh, wait, wrong guy. I was a little confused by the ending here. Sorry. Well, can't say I didn't try it the easy way. What? I'm assuming that W dash dash is leading into a what that was cut off, and the only what I want to know is why, or what possessed you to stop there. I mean, that is the ending. Well, can't say I didn't try it the easy way. W dash dash. While Izzy formulates her rant, I just want to say I really like this character description. This guy, girl, that this individual sounds super cool. Like looks wise. Black hair, gold eye, or black eyes and gold eyes and red hair and like Japanese sakura kimono. Like I'm here for it. I need more of this character.
It was very much danger, Will Robinson. Danger!
I'm getting Muzan Kibutsuji. For those of you who know that thing. What's the point of the audience is, wait, we just have... It's Automod highlighted climax in a book
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah, they did. Don't worry, I had already accepted it. It also flagged big.
Well, I guess out of context, big dramatic climax could be something else.
Yeah.
Just like that. Just like that. We just stonewalled Izzy's rant.
I mean, I don't think we stonewalled it. I think she's just still trying to formulate.
No, Izzy's
POS
sitting there going,
appropriate.
Izzy's sitting there going, I want to say something. I know I want to say something, but the only thing I can think right now is about the last one and how I had to read that out loud.
Yeah, what the fuck is, pretty standard here. What the fuck? Who the fuck? Why the fuck? This and that. This and that. Yeah. Yeah.
I was tempted to voice the cat in what has become my cat narrator voice, but I didn't. But anytime a cat has a speaking part for me at this point, like, they're going to turn into David Attenborough.
I mean, I think it's required at this point.
Almost, yeah. All right, moving right along with tonight. Izzy, why don't you go ahead and pull up the thingamabobs while I get the
number majigs.
Numbers ready to be generated to see where we end up tonight.
I'm sorry, you mean the weekly writing prompt master list that I have had up for the last 3 hours and 14 minutes?
Ma'am, that was awfully sassy for somebody who just read about running away in fear, okay?
In fear? Fear? No. Little beloved, little baby girl knew exactly what the fuck she was doing. There was no fucking fear.
Side note, 15 seconds, way too generous. Way too generous.
So here's the thing. I gotta be honest about this particular story, right? When it's the wizard and his 4 or 5 boyfriends, the one with the Great Dane, those scenes I understand. I can follow those. I know what's happening. When it's this Ari character, I'm not following any of it. I don't know if it's because there's missing context or what, but I'm not following why they're saying what they're saying. So it's like they have their own language that doesn't include explaining anything.
Look, the last thing I was able to. Right, and we're getting dropped in the middle of the story. Here's the thing though.
Exactly.
The last thing that I completely followed was the Mpreg and dude giving birth, and we never found out what happened after that. And then all of a sudden, here we go with these little almost side quests.
However, Ari has shown up other times. Hellenic has given us other, like, in between. We get two of the Mpreg episode scenes, and then we'll get an Ari scene. Right now, The only thing is that the RE scenes keep mentioning Volchek, right? Well, Volchek is one of the guys in the little Why Choose harem, right? If I'm following correctly, that with the Great Dane wiener that has to be contained with the special underwears. The yes, that lives rent free in my head. Okay.
I managed to forget about it. Thank you for bringing that back up.
You're welcome. I literally made a meme for it using Loki's picture. So,
I had evicted that thought.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yep. You're welcome. Right back. Right back. Great Dane lives rent free in my head. Okay. So there's lots of different things happening, and so right is yes, okay, Hellenic, I'm right. So I caught that name. Volchek is happening in this more past style village RE land before time kind of thing, and at the same time in a more modern setting with the college student wizard. So when we're dealing with college student wizard who's got all the boyfriends and gave birth through his those I follow. I understand what's happening. These I'm so freaking lost. So I can't wait until it's like all together and I can track the
Right.
things. Same with the Huey project, and this is what I love about it because you keep them wanting more, right? Y'all keep giving us these little this scene, that scene, the other scene, Some people do linear, okay? We love that. Last time on A Whisper of Fear, right? When I do them in order. And sometimes people are like, "Oh, okay, this is the other story, but I'm not telling you where it goes."
We had
No, I
Arosio
didn't.
last week.
Yeah.
Point that out. So this is a continuation of the same character. Like we have continuity between last week and this week at least.
Yeah. Yes. Okay. But I think unfortunately last week's I mentally checked out because I was really exhausted. So it's
Last
okay.
week was buying a night with Arosio before he left for Chance.
Okay, is Chance a place or a person?
A place. It's the name of the city where the university is. And he was all like, "You don't have enough money." And then dude showed up with literally his whole family and was like, "Is this enough?" And they were all like, "Yeah, you gonna get it."
I don't know if I like how he just said that.
That's what I
Anyway,
missed
can we
last week.
do-
Okay.
You gotta stop banning
Okay.
phrases, okay? I'm running out.
139.
39?
139.
139.
139. Okay, now I've got a keyboard in my way. 139, 139. Scroll, 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 scroll. Concept brought to us by Hellenic Taoists themselves. Battle in the center of the mind.
Say that again?
Battle in the center of the mind.
It's a mental battle.
Okay. Line 136.
Scroll!
Only 3 apart. That's wild.
What'd we say?
3-6.
136.
136. Brought to us by Jeffrey Martell. Standing there speechless, you wonder why.
Blank.
Standing there speechless, you wonder why.
Okay, and finally, dialogue 121.
Brought to us by Dahlia McEacher.
God. Horror queen herself.
Are you ready, Sticks? This is a long one.
Do my best.
Okay. Put down that radiation bomb, Mike shouted. Radiation bomb? I have no idea what you are talking about. But this little thing in my hand won't cause too many deaths. Just enough to get rid of my enemies, she cackled, running out of the warehouse.
Yeah, I have no idea what you're talking about.
But this little thing in my hand won't cause too many deaths. Just enough to get rid of my enemies, she cackled, running out of the warehouse.
Okay, now I will fix punctuation if it wins. That was a long one.
Now, again, don't forget, change names, change gender, change, whatever goes to work with your story. Adjust, flex. Just be careful which muscles you're flexing.
Unless your name is Daddy. The cackle. Got her.
All right, everybody. Poll is up. Vote, vote, vote.
I can't even with you people.
None of these really work for me.
Definitely want to see a radiation bomb in your story, Julie. Like, I feel like Roscoe finding one of those would be great.
I mean, radiation bomb could be turned into C4.
Uh-huh.
It could.
Luna, you write what you are called to write. Okay? We will get the fuck over it. Will my face return to its normal shade of non-red by the morning? I don't know.
It was a great
Maybe,
submission.
as
We
long
just
as-
enjoying giving Izzy shit.
Exactly. And
That's everybody.
Like, you gave me all the
We find
ammunition I
the
needed for
one
the next
thing.
month.
Oh,
Right.
God.
Oh my God. I could say something right now. I'm going to be really nice about this.
Well,
So,
because, Styx doesn't know how to behave like a good boy.
I can't with you guys tonight. You just killed the Viking. I hope you're happy you killed the Viking.
Emotional, damn
He
it.
started it.
Two wrongs don't make a right.
4 do.
That's 4 left, not 4 wrongs.
Well, left is wrong and right is right. So Oh shit.
I'm creating a clip of that.
Immortalized on Twitch.
If I can figure out how to do this.
Oh gosh.
Okay, I think I got it.
Where did Sticks go? Sticks had to go.
On other news. In other news, opening line 1. So that was.
I already got it posted. Standing there
Okay.
speechless, you wonder why blank.
Izzy's 5 fucking shades of red and Sticks is puking his brains out. Don't worry about it. We got this.
He started it.
I would say separate corners, but you're already in separate houses.
Oh, I am resisting so much right now. Mm-hmm.
Okay, we can. Hey guys, you want to hear what happens next? Go join the Discord because we are more unhinged over there than anywhere else. If you're not a part of it, why the hell not? We are goofy, we are kooky, we are all together ooky, the Addams family. Anywho, newsletter will be out sometime tomorrow. You want to know what's going on? Hit the newsletter. Again, free. Do the thing.
Nope.
Otherwise, have a great night. Stay your ass out of trouble. Nothing good happens after 2 a.m. in Styx's land. Don't eat fucking Taco Bell unless you're absolutely certain you can handle the diarrhea like everything else in this damn world. Otherwise, keep your ass out of fucking jail. Don't call me if you get into it. Unless it's funny and I can use it for writing material. Otherwise, be brave, be bold, always stay humble. We'll see you on Friday. Bye!
Where's the button to turn us off?